Hello there, everyone. Zantok here with Super Cast Brothers, the Smash Brothers podcast that just doesn't know when to stop. Because seriously, we probably should have already. I don't know. I don't
Can't
know.
stop, won't stop, as they say.
Yeah, some people do say that. Yes, indeed. Obviously, we have Jonno here with us, as was because he's our co-host or. We are co-hosts, I guess it should mean, because it's like I realize I said like he's the co-host, like that kind of puts you like a lower level. It's like that's not intentional. That's not what. I mean, maybe, but you know what I mean.
That's how you view me because you do all the production stuff and I don't. Like everything in post is you pretty much. Maybe 3/4 of it.
4/5.
So in a way, I am the co-host.
7/8. 99
maybe,
100.
Maybe
something like
100,
that.
Yeah. I'll say 97 out of 100.
That's fair. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the title for this one is gonna be kind of odd. You're thinking to yourself,
"Oh yeah,
the Thanos game. What the fuck does that mean?" We'll get into it. It's been something that Jonno and I have been talking about doing since before Ultimate's DLC was finished. I'm not even sure if Ultimate was out when we first brought up this idea.
I don't think it was.
I don't think it was. I think we were still getting some character reveals. But this is going to be, our roster game episode for the year for season 3. Last year around we did a game where we both picked one character per company for 25 companies, and then we also did a second and third picks because we're fucking stupid idiots, and it ended up being 5 fucking hours. We're hoping that this one is considerably shorter, but at the very least, we have already built in for the fact that okay, at a certain point, we are going to walk away from the camera, and we'll film the second half in another time, because this is going to be like a 2-parter. It's all going to be like in one episode for your viewing purposes, but for us, there will be a point where we walk away, but we'll explore more about that when we get there. Until then, it's finale time. We like to do a special on-topic Smash-topia and Smash or Dash end off every season. And last season we started doing roster games for every on-topic because we hadn't really figured out what we wanted to do for that, and now we're continuing that trend because we like the idea. Before we get into it, though, we're going to go with a very brief catch-up of what's been going on with this because we need as much time as we can for this shit. So, John, why don't you just tell us real quick what's going on?
What's going on in my life besides this wonderful time that we're about to embark on together on this journey as though riding on Spurs back to the cloud seat. So I am playing games. I finally started playing the Klonoa remakes. That's been fun. I always liked that character. Kicked off the Folk Festival season, so we're officially planning that for 2023 now in April. Besides that, not a whole lot. How about you?
All right. For me, there's still been, Fire Emblem 3 Hopes, but I'll talk more of my thoughts about all that at a later time because there's just not enough time to really get into it. And then beyond that, I started playing Tales of Berseria recently with a friend of mine.
Nice.
I'm also just checking. We're filming. Again, I mentioned we're filming this one in like a kind of a weird 2-part situation. So by the time this is going up, I will have recently returned from a trip to Arizona to visit a couple people. One of them being you. Yeah. So by the time this comes out, hey, we've seen each other, but we haven't yet. So that's gonna be interesting. I think though, yeah, like when we get to the second half of recording this one, I think it'll be after we've seen each other. So that's gonna be a little bit wild. I don't know how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
We might end the podcast that week. Who knows? This might be the final episode. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. This is our roster game, the Thanos game. What does that mean? Well, For anybody that knows either Marvel Comics or the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the movies, you know that Thanos is known for. There's one big thing Thanos is known for: the snap. The snap that wipes out 50% of all living life. And something that Jonno and I have talked about before with Smash Ultimate and what they could possibly do for the next game is like, where do they go from here? How do you move past everyone is here? What the fuck can you possibly do? And the only things we get thought of is like either they try to do everyone is here 2, which good fucking luck with all these characters, or they do a scale back, cut a lot of things, cut a lot of characters, and then just trying to like maybe revamp some things or throw in some new ideas and some new characters, but they like don't even try with everyone is here basically, and just like cut what you cut and try to move forward from there. I mean, not every game. There have been other fighting games that have had to essentially reboot themselves and have completely changed the roster. Street Fighter 3 has a very different roster. The Alpha series as well, I'm fairly sure. Soul Calibur did a reboot, revamping after they did Soul Calibur 5, I think it was. Yeah, because Soul Calibur 5 changed a lot of characters. Mm-hmm. And people were not happy about it. And then Soul Calibur 6 comes in and is like, reboot! We're going back! Because that wasn't good. So, it's not unusual. Right. Games have done this. So that's basically what we're going to be doing here today. So we're going to be talking about what we would cut if we were, say, in charge of the next Smash Bros. Game and we were told, all right, we're following the rules of Thanos. You have to cut 50% of the Smash Bros. Ultimate roster. Now, there's an odd number of characters in Ultimate. There are 89. Counting out, individual Mii fighters and the individual Pokemon trainer Pokemon and whatnot, there are 89 distinct characters. So we're just cutting that down to 45. We're giving ourselves that little extra. We're rounding up. So makes it a little bit easier. But I still wouldn't call it easy.
One could say. Ha! No, God.
Yeah.
No. This was painful.
Yes, we have both.
Just to make me in this list.
Yes. Yeah. We both individually made lists of which characters we're cutting and which characters we're not. And as we go through this character by character in the order that you can see here on the screen. Ooh. A lot of talking here. We're going to say whether we kept them or not. If we had cut them, we might say a very brief reason on why they were cut or kept. But we're not going to go too in-depth at this point. Once we both revealed our lists, then it is our duty to do, like we do with our Smashtopia episodes, debate. We have to combine our lists, essentially, until they are the exact same list. After that point, we will have our Thanos roster. But even that's not where we're going to be quite done. After the Thanos roster is complete, that's where we're going to take a break as we now go to create a new list of characters. 10 to 12 characters. I kind of want to make it be 12 because that's how many characters were introduced in the original Smash Bros. Game, but we might just make it be a flat 10. It's like a top 10 kind of a deal. Personally, I like 12. We'll see what we end up doing after that point. We will make our own individual lists of these 12 characters, 10 or 12 characters, and these characters are supposed to be the characters that, after the Thanos roster is culled, what characters do you add as the newcomers for this hypothetical next Smash game? And again, just like we did with the Thanos roster, we have to debate it out on which characters actually make the cut from both our lists. If we both say Chibi Robo, then congratulations, Chibi Robo, you're in. But if we have 9 characters that are the same on both of our lists, and the other 3 on our lists are completely different, then we got to figure out which 3 of those 6 we're keeping, and which 3 are not making it to the full roster. It'll be a thing. I'm interested to see how it'll go.
It will be.
And we actually, it's not just us here today, everyone. We have a very, very special guest here. Would you like to introduce yourself, Thanos?
Hello, Lister. How are you today?
A little bit worried now that I actually am hearing your voice, but I'm okay.
Your optimism is misplaced, Zantok.
I didn't say I was optimistic.
Was inevitable.
Yeah. Inexorable. Monstrous.
but I know you're a survivor.
I actually never won one of those games.
But may they take pity on you in the end, warrior.
I think they just looked down on me, honestly. Anyway, at least
look
I
down
have
on
my
you,
head.
too, because I'm like 10 feet tall. And so do I in this universe.
Don't know about that. But alright. So yeah, we just decided we'll just have like a little fun little picture of Thanos there, because you know this whole game was created around the idea of him. And
Well, thank you.
we had like a space on the screen. It's like, well, we'll just use it up by putting Thanos there. Because if we were doing like our normal 2-person layout, then the screen for the characters was just really small. But doing it this way gives more room for everything. So we got a little picture of Thanos here, because why the hell not? All right, Jonno, are you ready to get into this shit?
Well, Thanos, I guess at the end of the day, we're going to ask what it cost. And hopefully it will have been worth it.
It may cost everything.
Yes. Okay.
That's tracks. All right, so we are going to start here, starting with the Super Mario characters. I'm going to go first with every character, and then we'll have Jonno say his thoughts, and we'll move them into one of these 4 categories. Both kept, Zantok kept, but Jonno cut. Jonno kept, but Zantok cut, or both cut. So let's start off with Mario. Obviously, he's cut, right? Like, we don't need Mario. No, obviously,
I
obviously
haven't. You're joking. I haven't cut. Just kidding. Yeah, we're both kept.
Okay. Like, we can't have Smash without Mario. That's my basic thought of him.
Yeah, if there's literally one character in the game, it's him.
Yeah. For our next character, Luigi, I'm also keeping him. You could argue that you don't need him because Mario's there, but it also feel weird not having him.
It does. It does. I know he's a pseudo clone, but still.
And there's nothing to say that in this hypothetical project that any of these characters could function differently. Like, maybe Luigi isn't good anymore. Maybe he's like his own completely different entity. We don't know. We're not going that far with this.
Yeah. If we did one day, that's something I would like to visit. Is you're calling it down so much, you may as well offer something fresh.
Oh, easily.
Anywho.
Easily.
Yeah.
Next character, Peach. I decided to keep Peach. What about you?
Yep, keeping Peach.
All right.
Again, too important not to keep.
Similarly, Bowser.
On that note,
gotta keep Bowser.
Keeping Bowser.
All
that
right.
was easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those 4, it's like, all right, we got the 4 big Mario characters. They all have to be there.
Okay.
Then
We're done.
Then we have Dr. Mario.
Cut.
Yeah, I also had Dr. Mario's cut. Easy choice. It's not even a contest. Rosalina, I also have as a cut character.
So do I.
All right, we're great on everything. That's good. That's easy. Bowser Jr. very nearly made my list until I realized I had 4 too many characters, and he was one of the last 4 that I added. So I was like, all right, Bowser Jr., I'm sorry, I'm cutting you.
I cut him too.
Poor
Sad,
guy.
but true.
Part of me was hoping that you didn't, so we could debate him. But Daisy's a cut.
Rosalina and Bowser Jr. are both. Yeah, Daisy's a cut. Rosalina and Bowser Jr. are both in contention for a while on my list, but didn't make it.
Rosalina wasn't
Piranha
in contention
Plant.
for me.
I can't.
Did you?
No.
Okay.
No,
I mean, I don't know, because you do weird things sometimes. So I would have believed you. You gotta be straight with me.
Okay.
All right. So I also kept Piranha Plant, obvious reasons. Doesn't need to be there. Yoshi. Yoshi's a keep for me, easily.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong's a keep.
Keep. Yep.
Okay. Diddy Kong. Diddy Kong was in the last group of characters that I kept, but he did make my list.
He made my list too.
King K. Rool made mine. How about you?
God, yes. That would be such a travesty.
Yeah. Like, when we first debated this whole thing, you were just like, man, wouldn't it suck to add in K. Rool and Ridley and then immediately cut them? It's like, God. Fuck.
Yeah.
The only thing that made me question Diddy Kong is like, okay, we have both DK and K. Rool. Do we have room for Diddy Kong as well? And I was making it towards the end of my list. I found, yeah, there's room. Link.
Me.
If the game has one character, it's Mario. If it has a second character, it's Link. Gotta have him.
Keep Link, of course.
Yep. Then we get to Zelda, who I decided to keep.
Me too.
And then we have Sheik, who was a cut for me.
Also a cut for me.
Okay.
A one-off character, even if it's a cool one.
Yeah.
Kind of easy.
Yeah. Ganondorf was an easy keep for me.
Absolutely. Doria, etc.
Young Link was a cut.
Same.
And then Toon Link was also cut.
Same.
This is so easy to start. I'm curious to see where we're going to start disagreeing. Because it's got to happen at some point. I kind of thought we might have disagreed on Bowser Jr. And I thought we might have disagreed on Sheik. But...
So far not. I'm looking at where we're getting to with this roster, though, and I think we're going to be hitting that pretty soon.
Yeah, more than likely. All right, Metroid characters. Samus, gotta keep her.
Keep her. Yep.
Zero Suit Samus, however, was a cut.
Also on my end, yes, cut.
I don't think she's strictly needed. Ridley,
Agreed.
meanwhile, Ridley I kept.
Obviously, yes. Yeah, him and K. Rool, just dear lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Samus was actually a cut.
This was difficult for me, but it was a cut as well.
Was there a particular reason why she was difficult?
Because it's a popular villain for Metroid still, and I think there's room for them.
Fair enough.
And there's room to revamp the moveset a lot in a future game.
And,
so yeah, it was
and
a
there's
disappointing cut.
And there's nothing saying, like, just because, like, we're doing this Thanos game, like, imagine this is Smash 6, and, like, Dark Samus is cut. But that doesn't say Smash 7 can't bring Dark Samus back. We're just thinking about one game forwards.
Yeah, or even DLC, which we're not going to be talking about, good lord.
Good lord, no, we're not. Kirby characters. Obviously, Kirby. Gotta keep Kirby.
Yeah. Kirby's in, yep. My good old pal.
Then we have Meta Knight, who I wasn't sure about at first, but I decided to keep him.
I kept him at a night as well.
Okay. And then the reason why I wasn't sure about keeping Meta Knight is because of King Dedede. I was like, both? One? At least one? But in the end, I kept both.
I kept both as well.
Nice.
We fought so long for both of them, and then they both came into Brawl. So I think that they're worthy of their spots.
Yeah. And they're both very important characters. And they've played differently than everybody else, so there's worth keeping them for those reasons alone. Here's
Absolutely.
where I think we might get our first disagreements. The Star Fox characters.
Yeah.
Fox, obviously, is a keep.
Obviously, yes.
Okay. Falco, I cut.
I also cut Falco.
Wolf, I cut.
So did I.
Okay, I guess we didn't disagree at all. All right.
Wow.
Wolf was one.
Here's where we're going to disagree.
I debated on Wolf a little bit. I was just like, if we had to keep one of them between Falco and Wolf, I was betting on Wolf because villain aspect, whereas Falco's just like the snarky asshole. But
yeah, and there's still room with Star Fox to make these characters more unique.
Yeah.
Wolf especially, lean in hard on the assault weapons.
An aggressiveness.
Star Fox assault weapons to correct myself. And and it would be a thing. And then Wolfen, R-Wing, Landmaster. There's a lot to work with between him and Fox, but
yeah,
he was one of the last cuts.
He was one of the last ones I was deciding between as well. He was in the final group of cuts for me.
It's just Star Fox ain't what it used to be. Maybe hopefully one day it will be.
Yeah. Moving on, though, we've got the Pokemon now. The series that has the most playable characters of any of them, with one
By
more than the
far.
Mario crew.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Starting off with Pikachu. If Mario is our 1, Link is our 2, Pikachu is a 3 in my mind. I gotta keep Pikachu.
And Kirby's 4. Yep.
Yeah, Kirby's 4. Then we get to Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff was one of my first cuts. It was in the first batch. I had 20 characters that were in my first batch of cuts, and Jigglypuff was one of them. It's like, we don't need Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff. I kept them. So there is our first difference. We'll get there.
God. I have things to say, but we'll save that for later. Mewtwo I kept. The original legendary badass. Gotta keep Mewtwo.
Absolutely.
Pichu. I cut Pichu. Don't need him.
Pichu.
Yeah. Don't need it when Pikachu's there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this next one, I'm going to ask you a question. Because
Yeah.
this tier maker includes the Pokemon Trainer characters like in their own slot, so I figure we'll just talk about this way. For the Pokemon Trainers Pokemon, did you keep all 3? Did you cut all 3? Or is it a mix?
It's a mix.
In that case, it was mixed for me as well, so I'm going to put the Pokemon Trainer himself in the both cut category. Because if only 2, if not all 3 of them were kept, then the trainer mechanic is gone in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Squirtle.
Kind of all a Smash 4.
Yeah. Squirtle.
Squirtle.
I cut Squirtle.
I like playing a Squirtle, but I cut him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ivysaur. I cut Ivysaur.
I cut Ivysaur as well. So I guess we know who we kept.
Yeah, based on our previous discussion, we both kept Charizard.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, it's the fully evolved one and the most popular of them, so I figured we'll keep Charizard around.
Yeah, a wildly popular Pokemon. Easy, We'll get to my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Lucario was along with Bowser Jr. I originally had on my list until I realized I had 4 too many characters, so Lucario was cut in the end.
I recognize how insanely popular Lucario is, and I cut him.
Damn, alright. I thought he might have stayed on your list.
Sorry, Lucario.
Greninja, I kept as a water type starter for Charizard.
So interesting.
And then we get to Incineroar.
We have the same thought here.
Yeah, we probably did. Incineroar's gone.
Justice for someone. Anyway.
Yeah. F-Zero, Captain Falcon, would not be anywhere without Smash. He could have been he could be an easy cut because where's the new F-Zero game? But I decided to keep him because he is Mr. Smash.
That he is. So yeah, he's in.
All right. Earthbound. I kept Ness.
Mm-hmm.
But Lucas, I did not.
Same.
Ness was one of the last characters I added in because I was trying to figure out, do I add in Ness or do I add in Lucas? Because I don't think there's room for both in a 50 in a cutting down the roster game.
Yeah, and ultimately it just came down to Ness being in more games.
Not that for me. It was more the fact that Mother 3 isn't localized. If Mother 3 if Mother 3 had been localized, then I may have kept Lucas, but I didn't.
Probably would have been the most popular game, but nope. Yeah.
The Ice Climbers. This one hurts. This hurts. Because I cut the Ice Climbers.
Oh my god,
I did. Them. I'm glad that you did so that we could still consider them. Because for me, it was just like, I have a lot of the old retro characters. I don't think I have room for Ice Climbers too. I was very upset.
I see that, and I wonder where we're going to differ on those. That'll be interesting.
Let's get the Fire Emblem, which should be interesting to talk about. Marth.
Yep.
Kept Marth. Obvious. Come on.
The face of the series.
Yeah. Roy.
The progenitor. Cut.
Roy, I cut. Yeah. Again, he's...
Sorry, Roy.
Yeah, he's not our boy in this game. Ike.
I kept.
No, I'm kidding. He's kept.
I was gonna be so
Jeez.
pissed. Come on. Anyway.
Robin, I kept. He plays very unique compared to the others.
Yeah, I kept Robin.
Yep. And then Lucina is a cut.
Is a cut.
Corin, I kept Corin. I
cut Corin.
Finally, we have one that's like that.
Mm-hmm.
About goddamn time. All right, Crom. He had his chance, and now it's over as far as I'm concerned. What about you?
Yeah, I cut him. Yeah.
Okay. Byleth. Oh boy, I cut Byleth.
If we gave Byleth the moveset that we gave them, that would be one thing, and we could have.
Yeah.
But I cut Byleth as well.
Yeah. There's room for other Fire Emblem characters. We picked the ones that are the most unique. Well, yes, maybe with them. Moving ahead, Game & Watch. Mr. Game & Watch. I kept Mr. Game & Watch.
So did I.
Some
you got to
history.
keep the original WTF character.
Absolutely. And just like the oldest... What are the oldest Nintendo characters?
Yeah.
For the Kid
Including
Icarus...
Mario.
Yeah. For the Kid Icarus series, Pit. I kept Pit.
I kept Pit.
All right. Palutena was one of the last ones cut.
Oof. I kept Palutena.
Okay. Dark Pit was a very quick cut.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Dark Pit. We've had our discussions on him and how you can just load him up with different weapons, but not in this game.
Yeah, not this time around. So Wario. Wario is a keep for me.
Of course.
So, some of these are like, okay, it's obvious that we're keeping these characters, but...
Mm-hmm.
Going over
Olimar?
to Pikmin with Olimar. Olimar I kept.
Yeah, one of those obvious characters you're just talking about.
Yup.
Here's-
Rob. I kept Rob.
Mhm. So did I.
All right.
The ancient minister, as it were.
Animal Crossing. I kept the villager.
So did I. Smash's first certified serial killer.
Yes. Isabel. I actually forgot about Isabel for a long time when I was making this. But she's cut. She's cut for me.
I cut her too. It's kind of like Lucario to me, and I know the character's like hugely popular, but it's just like there's no room.
Yeah, like if we were allowed like 10 more characters, Isabel may have made my list at that point, but we had to keep it tight. Little Mac.
Oof.
I cut Little Mac.
So did I.
Ooh, all right. So
Yeah.
Punch Out is the first series, which to be fair, it only has one character, that has been completely cut.
And yet, Boxing Ring still made it in the Thanos game. So strange.
Yes, it does.
Thanos knows.
The Wii Fit trainer followed in Little Mac's footsteps. Actually, technically, Little Mac followed in her footsteps because she was one of my first ones that I cut.
I cut her as well.
Wii Fit is gone as a game. It's a relic of the Wii and Wii U era, and it's not coming back most likely.
Yeah.
So
I could see the argument for them because we kept Rob and Mr. Game & Watch. It's a hardware character. But no.
Yeah.
Not this time.
Plus, they're better representations of that anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Xenoblade. Shulk. I kept Shulk.
Okay. the pause there. I was like, really? Like, what? Yes, I kept Shulk as well.
All right. Pyra and or Mithra. First of all, I'll ask this question: are they both in the same category for you, or did you keep one and cut the other?
Yes.
Okay, so they're both in the same
They're
category.
both in the same category.
They are for me as well because we had the option of like cutting one and keeping the other if we wanted to do that. This one was difficult for me because anytime you have something that's like it's 2 in 1, it's like, that's 2 spots. Do you keep that? But in the end, I decided, they were actually 2 of the characters that I left towards the end to debate over. There was like, I want to say like 12 to 15 characters that I was debating over for like the last 7 slots. But in the end, I decided to go ahead and keep both Pirate and Mithra.
So did I. And that was probably the hottest debate in my mind when making this list.
Yeah. It was a hard one.
Because they are 2 characters in 1 slot. And there's still, I mean, you see the remaining roster that we have to work with. There's a good couple handfuls of pretty important characters.
Yeah.
Still on the line. But yeah,
God, the third parties are going to be a mess. I think the third parties where we start having some real trouble.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. But yeah, it speaks to how Xenoblade has grown as a franchise. You know, from Operation Rainfall to here, to where it feels warranted to keep them over Fox and Falco. I mean, Falco and Wolf.
Right. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh,
Duck Hunt.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
It was a debate between Duck Hunt or Ice Climber for me. And I kept Duck Hunt.
I also kept Duck Hunt.
Okay. Inkling. Kept. Easily. No debate.
I think, yeah, one of the very last obvious choices, yes.
Yeah. I thought you were saying one of the very last cuts. I was like, what? I was about to go ballistic. It's like, no. I refuse.
Wouldn't that be the day? Oh, man.
I will still cord down the river so hard for Inkling. But now we're at Min Min, the sole representative for Arms. I cut Min Min.
I was thinking between Min Min and Little Mac for a while there, and I cut Little Mac, and then I decided to cut Min Min too.
Nice. For me, it came down to just like the fact that nobody plays Arms anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was always weird when they. I mean, I'm sure some people play Arms, but like it was there and then it was gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a flash in the pan. It's a cool concept. The characters look great. The aesthetic is there. It's just the structure of the game is not very fun for a long period of time.
Min Min is clearly a character there where Nintendo told Sakurai put in an Arms character, and he's just like, "You sure?" And they said yes. Like, okay. The only reason I could possibly fathom for why Min Min is in is because Nintendo, at the time, I don't know if maybe the plans could have changed since then, but I think at the time they were thinking about a sequel game. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But that's my going theory.
If there were a sequel announced now, this may be a different discussion.
Yeah.
Right. But it's hard cuts. I do them.
Speaking of hard cuts, it is third-party character time, and I think that's where we had to start getting real divisive here because so far I've cut 3 characters that you kept, but I only kept 1 character that you cut. So here we go. Solid Snake. I cut. Yes. I'm shocked. I thought this would be okay. Wow. I thought you would keep him.
We have, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4,
So
5,
many.
6, 7, 8, 9,
So
10,
many.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Jesus Christ. 18 third parties. Thank you, Ultimate. To sort through. And, Snake is the first third party you ever got. It's from a series that I love. It's a stealth series, which is not represented in Smash otherwise. But yeah, you're making hard cuts. And what made it easier for me is understanding Konami's relationship with Kojima and gaming in general now. Yeah. Just kind of, oh well.
Yeah, that's a lot of where it kind of put with me too, and also just like I don't have a connection to Metal Gear necessarily, but other third-party characters, I felt like they were other ones that had like, I don't know if I would say a deeper connection for Nintendo with Smash, but more just like, I don't know, they they
To gaming in general.
not
Yeah.
not I don't know quite how to explain it, but it was more like they just felt like they fit better.
Okay.
I don't know. And there's also some that are going to be personal bias for me. We'll see. But next up is going to be Sonic. Sonic I had to keep. There's too much of that Nintendo Sega history there.
I kept Sonic.
Okay.
If you're going to keep one third-party character, it's Sonic.
I agree. And if you're going to keep a second, it's Mega Man.
I cut Mega Man.
Did you?
I cut Mega Man.
You're
Yes.
smiling too much. I don't believe you.
Here. I will show you the list that so far. Just show you. There's Sonic,
Uh-huh.
but where's Mega Man?
So we'll scroll up.
Oh, if I scroll down, it would spoil my next choice.
Scroll up one,
If
and
I
is
did
it
that.
Mega Man?
No.
What?
Do you want me to show you?
Is it the next character?
Yeah, I kept back then.
You cut Mega Man? We're getting into that later. All right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
We are.
What the bitch? Okay. We also saw on that you did keep Pac-Man, which I did as well. In my mind, if you keep 3, Pac-Man was the third one. Who's the fourth?
I agree.
We'll get to them.
Mm-hmm.
Ryu from Street Fighter was one of the last ones I kept.
Ryu from Street Fighters is one of the last ones I cut.
Really?
Really, yes.
I'm surprised. Okay. I'm having some fits over this information I've been receiving in the last few minutes. Ken. I cut Ken.
I also cut Ken.
Okay. Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. I kept Cloud.
I cut Cloud.
Sephiroth I cut.
Me too.
Bayonetta I cut.
I also cut Bayonetta.
Simon Belmont was he's actually the last character I slotted in. Well, no, I did these in batches, so that's not technically true. He's also one of the last ones that I kept.
Okay. I cut Simon.
What is happening here? Richter Belmont I cut.
I cut Richter.
Joker from Persona 5 I cut.
I cut as well.
He was one of the last ones I cut.
Mm-hmm.
The hero from Dragon Quest is the third character along with Bowser Jr. and Lucario that I was like, oopsie, I accidentally added 4 too many. I cut the hero.
I kept the hero.
Banjo-Kazooie. If you could only keep 4, he was my 4th.
I kept Banjo-Kazooie as well. I agree. Banjo, Ridley, and K-Rool need to be in the next game.
Terry from Fatal Fury. I cut.
I cut. Shame that.
Steve from Minecraft. I cut.
I cut.
You
Mhm.
kept? Or you cut?
I cut.
Okay.
I cut.
Kazuya of Tekken. I cut.
Mm-hmm. I cut.
Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Again, was with Bowser Jr., Lucario, and the hero. Was one of the for some reason I wrote down my notes. I'm keeping 49 characters, and they were the last 4 I added in. And then I realized, oh no, I have 4 too many. Well, sorry guys, you're the last batch, so I cut Sora. God,
kept
the Kingdom Hearts fans are yelling at me. Oh God, it hurts.
Cora.
Jesus, calm down and mute. Okay, I can't hear them anymore. We're good. Oh, guys, listen, I didn't want to do it. He was supposed to make the roster, and then I realized I had too many.
Mhm. At least they won't yell at me. I kept Sora.
Okay, I had a feeling because of where things were letting up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then I'm assuming with the way everything is mapping out on here that we both cut all three of the Mii fighters.
Correct.
All right.
And that is just, they're so unimportant on the Switch now that I think a change seems likely.
Yeah.
Even without this Smash cut, it seems likely for the next Smash.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. Wait, why is Terry in the kept category? Oops. That's not where he's supposed to be.
I was wondering that too, and then just wanted to get there when we got there.
Yeah. So, here we are. We have things as they are. For a quick refresher of all the characters that we kept, that is Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, King K. Rool, Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, Samus, Ridley, Kirby, Meta Knight, King Dedede, Fox, Pikachu, Mewtwo, Charizard, Greninja, Captain Falcon, Ness, Marth, Ike, Robin, Mr. Game & Watch, Pit, Wario, Olimar, Rob, Villager, Shulk, Pyramithra, Duck Hunt, Inkling, Sonic, Pac-Man, and Banjo and Kazooie. That leaves 10 characters in contention for the last 5 slots. We agreed on 40 characters. That's quite a bit better than I thought we were going to do.
Yeah, and a lot more cuts. 40 cuts we agreed on.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm surprised by as well.
There were some I definitely expected us to disagree on. There were some I did not expect us to disagree on. I think Mega Man is the biggest surprise to me, followed by Simon. I was like, what? And you're probably most surprised by Ice Climbers and then Sora, I would imagine.
Right.
Okay.
Here comes the hard part.
Yeah. So let's go one by one with these, saying why we kept them versus why the other person cut them. After we do like a brief synopsis of that for these 10 characters, then we're going to start actually debating. So Corrin, I kept Corrin because I figured we had room for a Fire Emblem character, and the only other characters from Fire Emblem that were unique were Corrin and Byleth, and Corrin plays much more unique, not only compared to Byleth and other Fire Emblem characters, but to the roster itself. So I figured I can keep Corrin.
So, per the format, so I'm talking about Jigglypuff then.
No, you're talking about Corrin. Why you cut him?
Why I cut Corrin. Okay.
Yeah.
I cut Corrin because I felt that Fire Emblem is a series that, even though I love the series, stands a mass calling in the next game, regardless of if we have Cuts the Steep or not, simply for the roster structure. Corrin, to me, is a character I'm empathetic towards, being another Avatar character. I feel like we only need one on the roster for Fire Emblem. And of the 3, Robin, Corrin, and Byleth, I think it was no contest for Robin, which I guess we agree on since Robin was kept by both of us. Corrin could go either way for me. I could see a place where I could be convinced to keep them here, but for those reasons, that was why I initially cut them.
Fair enough. Let's jump to Jigglypuff next.
Okay, Jigglypuff. Mostly I felt awkward cutting them because they are the last of the original 12 from Smash not to be placed in the game if they were to be cut.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I cut them. I actually did not think about that. That is a good argument. I cut them because there's so many Pokemon. There's so many Pokemon. And I needed to boil it down. I already had cut Lucario. Well, I cut Lucario one of the last ones I cut. But I knew that, like, the way that I was approaching things, I did not have room for Jigglypuff anywhere near the list. And if I was going to add a counter argument to other things, it's like Jigglypuff was almost cut from Brawl.
Yeah.
All very, very close. Along with Ness. No, Ness was almost cut from Melee, is what it was. I think Jigglypuff forever is just going to be one of those characters like, all right, If we get to them, we get to them. If we don't, we don't.
Yeah.
Mega Man. I'm a big Mega Man fan, even if it's primarily geared towards Battle Network and Star Force. So that's a lot of it. And then the other reason why I kept Mega Man is basically just like he is such an old NES character who has such a history with gaming and with Nintendo as a whole. Mega Man's done something that most other franchises don't, in that it's not just a Mega Man series. There's Mega Man, Mega Man X, Legends, Zero, ZX, Battle Network, Star Force. It's a series with a bunch of other series inside of it, and you don't see that like ever.
Right. The side-scrolling genre, the shooting genre, would not be the same without Mega Man. Incredibly popular, iconic character, fought for decades, for nearly decades from Smash fans. One of the biggest reveals, period, for Smash. So why did I cut them?
Yeah.
Taking a look at Mega Man's Final Smash, there's Mega Man, Mega Man X, Mega Man.exe, Mega Man Walnut, Star Force Mega Man. This, to me, is an opportunity to engage in an idea I had before, which is, wouldn't it be interesting if Mega Man had a new iteration of himself from one of those other series you had mentioned as a newcomer, as opposed to keeping classic Mega Man? The progression going from Mega Man to... So spoilers on my initial dresser for the 10 to 12, Mega Man X is on my list.
Okay, I did not make a list of 10 to 12 yet because I didn't want to. I didn't even want to think about that list until we saw what happened. Because I didn't want to do something like, oh, I'm going to cut Diddy Kong so I can have Dixie Kong. Because what if we don't cut Diddy Kong? Then I'm like, well, do I keep Dixie Kong or do I? Dixie? So I did not want to think about that at all.
And that is my only argument. If that's dumb, we'll get to it and maybe perhaps keep Mega Man.
All right. Ice Climbers. Let's discuss them next.
Oh, God. Okay, so I kept Ice Climbers because they were the first retro choice in Smash. It was a shame to lose them once in Smash 4, and I did not want to do that again. I think that there's a rally behind them being kind of the classic of the classic characters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, yeah.
I cut them because I already had the other three big retro characters, Game & Watch, Rob, and Duck Hunt. And looking at everything else that I wanted, I was like, I don't have room for you. I'm sorry. They were one of the last ones cut for me, and it hurt. All the ones that we have up here, like all of your cuts, except for Jigglypuff, were one of the last few that I debated on, and it hurt cutting them. Ryu is Mr. Fighting Game. You can't think of fighting games without thinking of Street Fighter and Ryu. He is the #1 most recurring crossover character for anything with Capcom games, and quite possibly in all of video gaming. Maybe, I don't know if that's true, but he's definitely up there.
Yeah,
it felt weird. It wasn't even consideration. Well, I mean, he was still one of the last ones that I included, but that's more because third parties. I was just trying to keep. I wasn't adding a lot of third parties in the beginning. I was debating real hard. I was like, okay, I got to balance the amount of these I have, but in the end, I kept him because keeping others over him didn't feel right.
Right.
They're
right. Like
the only two. There are a few that I would have considered over him, but very few.
Right. Yeah, I agree. He is the fighting game mascot, one of the most recognizable video game characters of all time. It was exciting to see him in Smash. He's one of my favorite characters to play as. Again, an odd cut on my end. He's definitely legs above Terry and Kazuya, even though both of those characters have their merits as well.
Yeah.
And if it were totally unbiased, I would end up keeping Terry because he's who I have the most fun playing as. But looking here, I agree. I mean, yes, Ryu is in everything. He is on all these various video game crossovers, even crosses over into mobile app games, apps that have nothing to do with the gaming itself. Ryu and Chun-Li just show up for the hell of it. on clothing brands, shoe brands, bicycles. Street Fighter is everywhere. Like
Yeah.
it is more ubiquitous than ever. So I thought to myself, why not freshen things up a bit? Maybe have another fighting game or even beat 'em ups represented with a newcomer. Again, it's conceptual, and there were other third parties that I kept. It was nothing against Ryu. It was like, what can we do to innovate the franchise, and also keep other third parties that I feel might be slightly more important in the Smash scope.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm also kind of getting the sense from some of the things that you've been saying and alluding to that several of your cuts were because you have replacements for them on your list of 10 or 12.
More or less, not direct replacements, but things that I have in mind. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that explains a little bit more of some of your choices that I'm seeing, like
Right.
where we disagree. It's like I think I know why you cut Simon. I think I know what happened there, but we'll get there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's go with Palutena.
Okay. I kept Palutena. I don't know. It felt right to give Kid Icarus two characters. Again, she's a character that was pretty popular and rallied for coming up to her inclusion in Smash 4.
Mm-hmm.
Not one conceptually that I end up enjoying to play as very much myself. She's kind of a weird technical character with strange hitboxes, whatever. But I think the character speaks to herself. I don't know. She's a big personality, important part of a classic gaming series. I don't know. It felt right to me to keep her.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Palutena, like she was one of the last characters that was in contention for me, and I'm not opposed to Kid Icarus having two characters, quite obviously, but in the end, it just came down to I don't have the room for you. If I did,
Mm-hmm.
you would probably be here. I don't like. I know who the next four I would keep are because I found that out by mistake. I don't know who it would be if I had a fifth slot. Probably wouldn't be here if I had a fifth slot. But if I was able to keep 10 more, I think she would have made the list.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud.
Yeah, if we had 10 more, I mean that would be easy. There's our 10. That's the ones we're talking about.
Well, no, because Jigglypuff still wouldn't fit on my list. The other ones would have been.
Okay.
So, yeah, Lucario would have been on my list if I had 4 more slots, and so would Bowser
Lucario
Jr.
and Bowser Jr. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For Cloud, 1, I like Final Fantasy. 2, I like Final Fantasy 7. 3, the internet died the day that he was revealed because nobody believed it was possible. For years, literal years. Anytime people would make a roster for Smash and it was like a fake leak, and if it was a fake leak and it had Cloud, then everybody was just like, ha, fake. Nobody believed anything that had Cloud on it. And if you just had like a fan wish list on it, people would be like, you have Cloud? Ha! That'll never happen. And then Smash 4 happened, and we're all just like...
Yeah. Yeah, that was the big one.
What? What?
Holy cow.
I want to go back and rewatch his trailer now, because I don't remember what it was. I don't remember if he had like anything special for his trailer. Because I don't think the Smash 4 DLC really did have much for trailers.
It was kind of just a teaser with the opening like title screen for Final Fantasy VII showing for a minute. People were going nuts. Like it was a time to be alive. Yeah, and that's where we kind of established the idea that Nintendo doesn't really end Smash generally until Sora with the huge reveal.
Yeah.
Because if they had, it would have gone Core and Bayonetta.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a major moment. I recall 20 plus years ago, like literally the infancy of the internet, scrolling like game FAQs and similar sites as a little kid, like literally maybe 6 or 7, and seeing people in these forums talking about how they want Cloud to fight Link, just as or whatever. You know,
then Death Battle happened and they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Cloud won.
That's kind of right. It's a major.
The materia combinations are crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess Link can get pretty beefed up with the Great Fairy, the Master Sword, but at the end of that's a whole other tangent. But yeah, I mean, it was a major milestone in gaming history for Smash. Yeah, it was a celebration for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Plus, he's fun to play as. Like he's one of my favorites to play.
He and Sephiroth both are quite a bit of fun to me. Although Sephiroth has some weird inputs for his specials.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cloud. I bet you know what my logic here is.
You replacing him with another Final Fantasy character on your list.
Correct.
I think your logic is two parts. Actually. Mm-hmm. It's that, sure. But also you were probably weighing, okay, Square Enix. Having 3 characters, that's a lot for one third-party company, and that's honestly fair. And I had that in mind when I was debating Hero and Sora.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Cloud and Sora also fill a similar box in terms of the fan hype. 2 major iconic characters.
Hero does too, just only on the Japanese side.
Yeah, Japan is obsessed with Dragon Quest and Enix and throwing Enix, but we're about to get to Hero.
Speaking of, let's get to Hero, because I think we know we know what your thing with Cloud was. You have another character in mind that you were going to replace him with.
That and yes, and we wouldn't be able to do that if we kept all Square Enix characters. I felt awkward not giving Enix a bone when Hero is arguably the best and only choice for Dragon Quest, and pretty much Enix, period.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if they differentiated their characters more with personality.
Yeah. Before Final Fantasy, there was Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is kind of the, to use the Fire Emblem word again, the progenitor of JRPGs.
Yeah.
That set them on the map. It gave
Final Fantasy is the father, but Dragon Quest is the grandfather.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, the legacy of the character, the legacy of the series, the popularity in Japan, it being Enix's sole representative, is why I kept them. Just let Erdrick be the lead instead of Luminary. Thanks.
I agree. I could see potentially that changing in the next one, but primarily if there's a new Dragon Quest, I think they'll make that new character the lead.
Agree. That tends to be the trend.
Yeah. My reason for cutting them was basically I didn't have the room. Again, they were almost there. They were on the list until I realized, oh, oops. And I cut them purely because my last batch of characters, I was just like, oh, I have room for 4 more. So I picked my 4. And then I was like, oh, wait, actually I don't. So I threw them all 4 of them back out. They were one of the last ones I added in, though, because the Square thing, I didn't know if I wanted to have too many of them. And I am more of a Final Fantasy fan than a Dragon Quest fan. So,
sure.
Simon Belmont. Before Ultimate, one of the things you had said was that Castlevania and Simon by extension are the biggest series and character that are not Nintendo characters, that are not in Smash yet, and should be. And I agreed. And then we got Simon in Smash. So I'm like, okay, I'm keeping Simon. Huge history character, huge series. I'm gonna bet you cut Simon for Alucard.
Oh, you know me too well.
Yeah. Again, there's a reason I didn't want to think about who I'm adding. I put absolutely no thought into that.
And as you can see with the third parties, I put quite a bit of thought into that. It turns out.
Yes, you did. Perhaps I should have made clear before we made our list. Don't think about that yet.
I didn't think about it until after I made my list of 45. If that's any solace.
I don't believe you because you have literally said you cut Mega Man for X.
Yeah, I made my list of 45. And then
you started tinkering with it.
Yep. Hey, I stopped making edits yesterday. Remember I said that?
All right. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say on Simon?
Great character. I can see the argument for Simon over Alucard and other Castlevania characters, especially since he is the originating Belmont from the series and has the vampire killer.
Okay.
Yep.
Sora.
Oh God. Everything you said about Cloud, but applied to Sora.
Also, the true
character,
winner of the ballot.
Yep. Sora, then Banjo, it seems. Sora, it's Cloud, but to a tenth
even
of a degree
wider
higher.
audience.
Yeah, a crazy inclusion. Even it was to the point. Even when we got Cloud, and we had all of these other third parties, Steve was in, Sephiroth was in. We did not expect Sora.
No,
still
we didn't think it was possible
we
because
could
Disney.
Yeah, and then Disney bit for however much money we don't know, and
Yeah.
and it was totally by chance. Sakurai meeting them in an elevator of all places, being like, "Hey, Sora won the Smash ballot. Do you think we could put him in?" They're like, "Oh yeah." So for that, for all of the luck and grace that came into including Sora in this game, which was so unfathomable,
Yeah,
I had to keep him in.
fair. For me, again, he was only cut because I realized at the end I had just 4 too many, and I kept it simple. He wasn't the last 4 that I added, so I ended up cutting him. But it did hurt. Sora was one of the cuts that hurt the most for me. Sora hurt, Joker hurt, the Ice Climbers hurt, Bowser Jr. to a lesser degree hurt because he's a fun one for me to play as. Those were really the ones that hurt. The other ones didn't really hurt so much, but those are the ones that actually really hurt.
Right.
Okay, so
goodness great. Yeah.
Let's get into this here. I'm going to say right here that I am willing to move Corrin to the cut slot. Because I think with a few exceptions, everything else here is a higher tier than Corrin is.
I am okay with that. And you know what? For the sake of this conversation, I would be okay with shelving Jigglypuff as well.
I thought you were going to say Palutena.
I feel like I know where the Jigglypuff conversation is going, is all that I'm saying, so I may as well just cut that now. You know what I mean?
Do we want to briefly say anything about Jigglypuff?
My only argument is it's one of the 12. If that wasn't a strong enough argument, then okay, let's move him to the cut.
For Captain Falcon, it was. For Jigglypuff, for me, it's not. Because Jigglypuff, I know, has fans. I know that they do. But for me, like, Jigglypuff's almost been cut before. And I just don't think they stack up. I don't think they stack up. Of the other Pokemon characters, the only ones that I think Jigglypuff might beat out are Pichu, Ivysaur, and potentially Incineroar. Everybody else is above Jigglypuff for me. Having Jigglypuff and not Lucario for me would be like, what? But Corrin, I can safely go like, okay, we've got Marth, Ike, and Robin. This is fine. If Byleth had been there, I'm like, no. Like, I don't like Fire Emblem Fates. I like Three Houses, but no.
Yeah, Fates is... well, yeah, that's a whole other discussion. Yeah, and that's another thing that's often the Jigglypuff blow for me, is that we already have 4 Pokemon characters. There's going to be room for discussion for a new one potentially or whatever, so yeah. It is what it is. Comparing, the number of Pokemon already in, as well as the 8 characters we're now debating, the result becomes clear.
Yeah. Now is here where it gets to a little bit more difficult, because all these characters, either I kept, or they were towards the end of a cut for me.
Yeah, these are your 4. These are literally your 4 that are in my kept, aren't they?
Yes and no. Sora and Hero were on my list until I realized I had too many. But then when I was debating on the last ones, It was 9 characters that I was debating the final 4 slots on, and those 9 characters were obviously, okay, Junior, Lucario, Hero, and Sora, but the other 5 were Ice Climbers, Palutena, Isabelle, Joker, and Wolf. Those are the last 9 characters that I thought I was debating between before I realized, oh, no, I actually am done. Ah, fuck me. So yeah, that's what makes this hard. There's, I think there are 2 characters out of these that I am interested in keeping the most. One on your list, one on mine. But where are your thoughts on these 8?
God!
To make sure I said that correctly, there, instead of speaking in the reverse, there are 2 characters of these 8 that I am the most okay with cutting the most. That's what I'm meaning to say.
That you're most okay with. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One on your side and one on mine.
One on your side, one on mine. Okay. Got it. Shall I predict who those are?
You can, or if you have other thoughts that you would like to express, you're free to do that.
Okay. It's a hard mix because with the third party characters, literally all 4 of my cuts that are on your kept list were cut in regards to my mind straying and speculating. There are clear sound arguments for each of those 4 to make it, and we won't say should, but I mean, right? On my end, Hero and Sora, I mean, their places in history and in Smash have been made. The arguments have been made. Third parties are going to be difficult to talk about. Palutena and Ice Climbers, they're fighting an uphill battle in my eyes, being the last of the first party characters, with the pedigree of the third parties that are left. But there may still be room for discussion. I think perhaps especially for Ice Climbers. And that's where I am at currently.
Okay. Before I say what 2 characters I was thinking of, are there any characters you're in particular thinking of that you either expressly need to keep or just like, of all these, I'm okay with seeing these ones go? If there's not, that's fine. I wanted to give you an opportunity before I said the ones I had in mind.
Okay. I do have my leans, at least on my end, but I'll save it until after you go with yours.
Okay. The 2 that I am most okay with cutting at this point of the entire 8, the first is Palutena. I think you could argue some degree of who she's better to keep over whoever, but Kid Icarus has 3 games, 2 of which are old as fuck, which isn't to say that things are bad for Kid Icarus, but Kid Icarus Uprising, while a phenomenal game, it has been some years. It's been 10 years since Uprising. Actually 11, I think. Wait, what year is this? 2022. It's been 10 years since Uprising.
That dates us, God.
Yeah, it does. God, what a fucking good game, though.
Yeah.
And while I love it, and I just replayed it a year or 2 ago for Select Star Gaming, Palutena, I don't think stacks up to any of the third-party characters that are up here. Whether or not, as far as her versus Ice Climbers are concerned, that is Smash Brothers legacy for me. I hate the Ice Climber game itself, the NES game. I tried playing it a couple years ago for the channel, and it was not fun. It was not fun, but they are fun to play as in Smash, and that is where they are winning for me, at least as far as those 2 in particular are concerned. Like, if this was a Smash or Dash between Ice Climbers and Palutena, easy vote, Ice Climbers. But we have 8 characters here and 5 slots. So Palutena is one of the ones that I'd be most okay with cutting out of all of these. But then from my side of it, I would be most okay with cutting Simon. Probably not a surprise to you that he would be the one on my side that I'm okay with cutting. Not to get into the whole other characters that can replace Simon thing, but Castlevania does have a large bevy of characters that could be pulled from beyond the 2 Belmonts that we've currently had in Smash. So that is a potential argument there. But also, when compared to Mega Man and Ryu, he pales in comparison to them. Maybe not to a large degree, but the difference between Simon versus Mega Man and Ryu is that Castlevania has a lot of different playable characters throughout its history. That all they have their time in the sun against Dracula, whereas it's always Mega Man, or at least for the classics, it's always Mega Man, and for Street Fighter, it's always Ryu.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably against Street Fighter 3, but he's always just like the guy, whereas Simon is less so. I don't even know if Simon's the most popular from his series. I don't know. I don't know if he's the most popular Belmont. I don't know. I'm not a super big Castlevania person, so I don't really know.
Right. We can get into that later, but he is not. I will say, but he has his place. It's kind of like how Marth has his place on.
He's the he's the Marth. He's the original guy. He's the one that started it all.
Right. Conan the Barbarian, as you might say.
He's there for legacy.
Right. Correct.
So that would be my thoughts. Like if I was picking 2 of these 8 that I'm most okay with cutting, it's the 2 of them. But what do you think?
Mm-hmm. I agree. Palutena is the easiest cut at this point. I would say let's just move her to the cut category. She's outclassed not only by the third parties but by Ice Climbers for reasons of Smash Legacy, as you said. If Kid Icarus had something new in the works that we knew about, again, that probably would be different.
Yeah.
But since it's not, kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
Simon. I like Simon. I like playing as Simon. I like Castlevania. I like the Castlevania games that he appears in. And I stumped for his character hard to be in Smash for a long time. But I agree with your reasoning as well. I think that when we do get into the newcomer portion of this, there are a bevy of Castlevania characters we can talk about. There are other horror games that we can talk about, other platforming games we could talk about that share a similar legacy, not necessarily with Castlevania, but to the character of Simon. So to that degree, I will say, sure, I agree with that as well. We can move him there if we're both in the same mind space now. All
right.
Mm-hmm.
With that, Palutena and Simon have both joined the both cuts category.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah.
We are down to 6 characters, 5
boy.
slots. 1 more character has to be cut. Before we get there, though, are there any of these 5 characters that we want to push into the keep category?
I would say yes at this point.
Who do you want to discuss?
Ryu.
Not what I expected you to say. Okay, fire away.
My thought with Ryu had nothing to do with Ryu himself when I cut him. The more that we go into this discussion, I feel like that is it's a conflict in my brain because while I said, oh yeah, we can go for another character to toss ideas out there, say, oh, you want to go for the beat 'em up genre instead, there's Final Fight, Streets of Rage, we can go for Street Fighter itself is kind of adopting a new thing now too, where they're like, Ryu is kind of paving the way for Luke and Rashid and whoever, and so there's that new next generation push for a new Street Fighter cast pretty much entirely. I'm pretty sure that we'll get like
they're doing it smarter than they do with Street Fighter 3 though this time, where they're not replacing everybody.
Right. Then in my head there was the contention for potentially Chun-Li getting her time to shine because she's just right behind Ryu, kind of the originator of female fighting game characters, major icon in her own right, who I can't really see in Smash without Ryu not being there in a game like this. At the same time, I think that was stupid. It was frankly dumb of me to go down that route because you're right. Ryu is a fighting game icon. He's more than that, though. He is the Mario of fighting games, essentially. It's why we chose him to be put in contention over Kazuya and Terry.
Yeah.
Because while those characters are popular in their own series, they are icons in their own right. They pale to Ryu's light that shines.
Mario is Mr. Video Game, but Ryu is Mr. Fighting Game.
Right. And if, that's the point that we're putting characters like Sonic or Pac-Man in the game, then I think Ryu should probably, it's not a point too where Ryu has multiple iterations of himself like Mega Man or multiple different games in the series to pull from like Cloud. Ryu is Ryu.
Agreed.
So I would actually put Ryu into that's of the 6 there. I think that he's the easiest push.
Okay. I am good with putting Ryu forwards.
Okay.
I'm curious, and you don't have to say this if you think that they are still something that you would want to bring up in part 2.
Mm-hmm.
But did you have a specific character in mind that you were wanting to put in Ryu's spot? Was it Chun-Li, or were you just like saying like, oh, here's the options?
There were multiple options: Chun-Li, Morrigan, Cody Travers, Mike Hagar, Axel Stone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Altered Beast. Just kidding.
I'll go ahead and nominate a character. Go ahead and just push through to the keep category as well. You picked one from my side of things. I'm going to pick one from your side. It should be no contest on who this character is. It's Sora.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt cutting Sora. I didn't want to do it. He was supposed to make it. But we're keeping him. He's staying alive. Kingdom Hearts fans, I'll unmute you now. You can talk again. It's fine. He's still here.
Thanos, he was muted for a while. He's a Kingdom Hearts fan.
He was pissed.
He was. He was ready to use that gauntlet in a whole new way. Anyway.
Okay. We've cut a few. We've cut 4. We've kept 2. 3 more can stay. 1 more has to go. And I don't want to say bye to any of these, which sucks. I mean, if I have to cut one, I know who my one is, but I imagine that's a conversation.
Probably so. Maybe not a long one. God,
I hope not.
Because remember, my cuts were, again, only in the spirit of speculation for newcomers. Cloud and Mega Man obviously have their spot in Smash. That is not in contention at all. Nor is their iconicity as gaming characters. So I think the easy thing, and probably where you're leaning, is probably to just cut Ice Climbers and call it a day. Which we could go down that route. Because clearly, of the 4 characters left, Ice Climbers, sorry to their legacy in Smash, are the ones with the lesser pedigree. Are we going to do that, though? At this point, yeah, we're going to do that.
Hold on.
Probably.
When I made that statement, Ice Climbers was not the character that I had in mind.
Really?
But I was thinking about it. I was just like, because I said the lean of what I would want to cut, and I don't want to cut them. If I have the full power to cut one of these 4, it's not Ice Climbers, it's Hero. But fuck, this hurts. But arguments that you have previously made about Square and Enix, Final Fantasy, and Dragon Quest all made a lot of sense. And Hero was one of the last characters for me. He was on my list. But then, as I've mentioned before, I noticed a fuck up. I think if we're making a smart decision here, not only for Smash itself, but for respecting both of our lists and our own arguments, and also for the sanctity of our time, I think the smartest and perhaps the easiest cut that we can collectively make at this point is the Ice Climbers, and I hate that. I hate it, but I think that's the smart thing to do. cut the ice
So
climbers, and then we keep Mega Man, we keep Cloud, we keep Hero.
Agreed. We made our arguments for Mega Man, Cloud, Hero, and Ice Climbers at this point. You look at the scope of where they stand in not only Smash but gaming history.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes it more clear. Hero being hugely popular in Japan and pretty much worldwide, just lesser in the West. Representing Enix, being pretty much the only thing that can legitimately represent Enix is kind of where I'm coming from with it.
Yeah.
And just giving a nod to the grandfather of RPGs. Cloud, major inclusion. Would be a shame to cut him. We don't have to cut him for another Final Fantasy character to even make it, per se. There's Mega Man. It was an idea that I had. It was an idea that was dumb.
I mean, I don't think the idea of replacing Mega Man with X or replacing Mega Man with Zero or with EXE, whatever. I don't think that idea is dumb. The only thing I would say is dumb is relying too hard on coming up with replacements when we don't know how the overall roster is going to shake out.
I was thinking about that because while I may be firm on including X as a replacement to Mega Man, and we say, "Oh, Mega Man's still in, but it's Mega Man X," doesn't mean you would be arguing the same thing.
My bias would say EXE. But if I was picking without bias, I would actually say Zero.
Okay, right, and that's fair. My thought was like, oh, you can go into Smash 6 with X, Smash 7 with EXE, 8 with, just kind of go through the list.
But see, then you piss off the classic fans after he's gone. Then you piss off the X fans when he's gone. Then you piss off me when EXE is gone.
Yeah. And then Volnet's there, and like everybody's just kind of confused.
I mean, to be fair, Smash 4, I thought Snake and Sonic would both be gone because I thought they would do like Soul Calibur does and have different guests every game. And then Sonic was real and it's like, huh. Okay.
Yep. That was the opportunity for them to not piss off legions of fans when they cut these characters, because that's the explanation.
Yeah.
But we went down a different route. It's a different timeline. But yeah, okay. Mega Man, Cloud, Hero. I guess they're getting a pat on the back. It's sad. It's sad. Now we feel kind of like Sakurai in the Smash 4 development process.
Yeah. It hurts cutting these characters. It really does.
Yeah. I think it's just the logical choice at this point that Ice Climbers is the final cut.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the hardest one to argue for, and to put in other terms. That's a respectable list anyway.
Yeah. And there it is. For a second there, I got confused. Was like, wait a minute, they had the same amount of characters. Oh no, something fucked up. Then I remembered. Oh right, this asshole. Because Pokemon Trainer is listed in the tier making in case you're not seeing the visuals of it. Whereas we don't count him as a character because you don't play as him. But that's it. We have our roster of the characters that were kept. We have the characters that were cut. For a reminder for anybody who may not be seeing the video of this, I'll go ahead and relist all the characters that we ended up keeping, just so you have it in your minds. Those characters were Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, King K. Rool, Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, Samus, Ridley, Kirby, Mennonite, King Dedede, Fox, Pikachu, Mewtwo, Charizard, Greninja, Captain Falcon, Ness, Marth, Ike, Robin, Mr. Game & Watch, Pit, Wario, Olimar, Rob, Villager, Shulk, Pyra, Mithra, Duck Hunt, Inkling, Sonic, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Ryu, Cloud, Hero, Banjo-Kazooie, and Sora. That's a name to drink. Lord. Okay. So, at this point, Jonno and I are going to take a break. We are going to go build our own list of 10 to 12 characters. Do we want to say if we want to make it be 10 or if we want to make it 12?
Let's see. This is a list of 45.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the argument for 10 because it's an even number. 55 is not an even number, but you know what I mean.
Right. It can make a square.
It can. So do we want to make a square, or do we want to give ourselves a little more room to not drive ourselves nuts?
I say we do 12, and here's my arguments for it. One, it's the number of characters in Smash 64. And two, Smash has never cared about evening out the character select screen. Never.
Right. That's
so
more just my own brain. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, I know. It makes the brain happy to see the square go complete.
Right.
The brain is happy when the square is complete. What can you say?
Well, there's a fucking quote.
Brain go happy, square full.
There you go. But I agree. Let's go with the 12. We may as well offer ourselves some room to go for the gusto, basically.
All right. With that, we'll see you all later. Okay, and we are back. We are ready to continue our discussion here on the Thanos game. As you can see, Thanos is no longer with us. He had to go do something.
Just taking a nap in my bed.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Honestly, I was trying not to mention it, but apparently killing half the Smash Bros. Roster really took a lot out of the guy, which odd because it's a fucking video game compared to the entire universe. But fuck it, whatever. Not gonna judge. Yep. Who knows? Maybe he took a nap after Infinity War. I don't fucking know. They didn't show us what happened after that. Who knows? But we decided to fill his part of the screen. He definitely, well, we don't know how long it took him to build that farm or when he started. Obviously, we don't know what happened immediately after he got an axe to the chest and fucking vanished. He's like, that hurt. Bye. And then we don't know how after that. But we've decided to go ahead and fill his space here on the screen with the characters that we did go ahead and keep. So if you're watching the video and you ever need a refresher on which characters are still around, it's right there for you. Quick and easy glance at everything. They're ordered by series like we did it in the first half, just because it makes for easier viewing than what game we were introduced in Ultimate. Seriously, what was with the numbering system? I don't like the roster being sorted that way. It's not clean. It's not.
Sure.
Anyways. So, Jonno and I, we did our job. We picked out 12 more characters each. They are currently hidden. We'll be revealing them one by one, going pretty quickly on each of them, doing our quick thoughts and everything. And then once we see what we agree on, what we don't agree on, then we're going to get into the real discussions. So, to begin, I kind of just want to say, at least for me, my process, what I ended up doing is I looked at each of the series and also just, some franchises that aren't in Smash It and be like, okay, I'm just going to write down any character that looks like they could be interesting and that I think could potentially be worth adding to a roster after we just cut half the Smash Bros. Characters. And I always like to call things my short list, even though they're never short. My list was 68 characters long, which for me that's relatively short, honestly. I've had much worse short lists in the before. Oh dear.
Right.
But the interesting thing with mine, the way I started doing it, is once I had all 68 characters, I was like, okay, this is obviously too many. Let's do a big old swathing cut to get rid of a bunch of them. Cutting the low-hanging fruit, the immediate cuts. The characters that it's yeah, I'm definitely not going to include this one. Elma was cut at this point. Ezio, Shadow, Mel. All of them were cut. Then I was like, oh man, that was only 28 I cut. I gotta cut more. And I cut another 17. And that's when we lost Nia and Lindis and M. Bison and Tails. All of them were gone. And only at that point did I finally pick any characters to add to my list.
There
I
you
cut
go.
it down. I cut my 68 bank of characters down to 22 ish before I actually picked anybody to add in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How about
A
you?
meticulous process. Nice.
Eh.
M. Bison. You didn't keep M. Bison on your list? Oh, darn.
Hey, he's
Actually,
lucky to be considered. There were 3
He
Street
is.
Fighter characters that I had that were in my overall consideration, which is weird
Nice.
considering we kept Ryu, and that's why they were all easy cuts.
Let me guess. M. Bison, Chun-Li, Rashid. There you go.
I like
I knew you weren't
Rashid.
an Akuma man. Yeah, I like Rashid too. I think he's one of the best, probably the best character out of the new generation that they're doing. I wouldn't be against it. My personal hope of Dalsim will never happen, so I will go for any of those 3.
Dalsim is my
seriously.
classic Street Fighter boy. Love him. Him and Blanca.
He's
are
freaking
right
awesome.
here.
Yeah, right in your heart, but not on your roster. Not even in
No.
your 68 character.
No.
My process was I made a list of characters. There's a few. I'd say there's a handful that to me feel like walks in most discussions that I will have about an imaginary roster or a speculative roster, and I felt like those would remain locks throughout the process. But so I was working with that handful of characters, saying, okay, this person's definitely got to be in. This one's definitely got to be in. Who else will join this roster? I didn't build it up to 68, but I probably had about 40 newcomers at first that I had to whittle down to 12, which was a grueling process. And it was kind of how we did it with selecting these 45 veterans and culling half the roster. Keeping a series balance to what I view as a sensible amount of third-party newcomers. There's different factors like that coming into it. And then just why aren't these characters actually in freaking actual Smash now? Why?
Yeah.
Why? So there's a couple of those too.
Yeah. Trying to keep some series balance was a big thing for me as well, because otherwise, like, there were several characters that I would have wanted to include on my own, just like making a roster. I'm just like, I'm sorry, but we don't have the room to. I don't have the room to spare for you. I can't overload this area over here and leave all of this just dead. I can't. You gotta go. I love you, but you can't be here. I can't look at you. Like, get out of my house. You can't. Go find another home. I can't do this right now.
It's like
I'm
us
leaving
talking
at the
to
side
Ice
of the
Climbers.
road. Yeah! It's like Ice Climbers. Oh, God, that one hurt. And there were several of these that hurt. As always, the last cuts are always the hardest. It's like, I want you here, but I can't have you for this other thing. And, there's some of the ones that are on mine that's like, okay, as we get to the discussion, they're going to be less priority for me to argue for, and that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I could say that's fair too. Which is why I kind of harped on at the start of my explanation of how I did this. There's a handful of guys that I'll really fight for. We'll see where the rest of the discussion goes.
Yeah,
maybe we both chose them.
Possibly.
For some of these characters, it would be more surprising if you didn't.
I mean,
but we will see. Yeah.
We know with making your list, and the two of us have talked about Smash Bros. So many times in the past, and we have similar tastes in some areas, that there's definitely going to be some characters that we agree on. And there's going to be some that we don't, and there's going to be somewhere where it's just like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry for the Shock Jock fans out there though, because we're not going to be cutting Mega Man in this segment, so probably went past the craziest parts already.
Man.
But here we are.
Oh, God. Here we are. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We'll go ahead and reveal one of my characters, and this series got destroyed in our Thanos game. The series this character comes from. A lot of their characters were gutted for fair reason, really, honestly, I think. But I wanted to give them another character to kind of not strictly bolster them back up, but just kind of throw them a bone and give them somebody that doesn't fight like anybody else that they currently have, and that's Ephraim from Fire Emblem. Like, listen, yes,
Okay.
we know
Nice.
Smash Brothers fans. We know there's a lot of Fire Emblem in Smash. I understand. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
The real problem is that they're all sortie boys, mostly all sortie boys, and half of them fight like the same character. But hey, we cut Roy, we cut Corrin, we cut Byleth, we cut Lucina, we cut Chrom. We only cut 4. And Ephraim, if you don't know Fire Emblem, doesn't use a sword. He uses a lance. So I give him the bone for that. It was him or Lindis for this slot. And I decided to go with Ephraim.
Either one would have been good. Lynn has a bow, fights very differently with her katana. Would have been a different kind of sword use at the very least. But I like the Ephraim nod, a nod to Sacred Stones, which doesn't get all that much love anymore, even though it's a great game. And if you're going for a spear user, I think he's the natural choice, besides Bandana to some people. We'll see if he shows up. So cool, good. He's a nice compliment to Marthroy and Robin. Different play style. This is why I think we kind of gravitated towards those 3 to keep as well.
Yeah.
That and kind of just having to. I mean, they're archetypal.
Yeah.
Major characters.
The fact that we cut Fire Emblem down to just 3 also felt super weird to me. I thought we were going to go to 4. And when we only went down to 3, I was like, all right, there's room for one more, I think.
That's fair. That's fair. But I guess we're revealing one of my characters now, huh?
Yep.
Okay. This is a character that I also would say is from a series that we massively called back, at least to a certain degree. Not to the same degree as Fire Emblem, but they're a major force in Smash. Got a newcomer from the series literally in every installation of the game so far. That being Pokemon. Rest in peace, my boy Jigglypuff, and hello Decidueye.
All right.
Yeah. Yep. So here's what I'm thinking. We're 2 generations beyond Decidueye. But getting Incineroar over Decidueye in Ultimate still hurts. And this is our opportunity. We have Greninja, we have Charizard. So we have our water and fire evos already. This is the best choice for a grass evo. You got a Grass Ghost Owl. What else were you going to do? Sceptile? Please. Please, dear boys. Decidueye it is.
The Smash community talks a lot about, especially after Smash 4, with Greninja being out of the game. It's like, oh, we need a grass starter now. And do we strictly need one? No. But would it feel good to have one? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you have Decidueye, Sceptile, Rillaboom, I think are the ones that are commonly talked about. And it's just so easy. I mean, look at it. Yeah. Could have been Sprigatito's final evolution, but word on the street is that that's a bipedal cat again. So,
I mean, we're talking leak territory here.
That's true.
We don't know what it looks like. All we really know for sure, technically we don't know anything for sure, but leaks have indicated it does not stay 4 on the floor. What the final design
makes
looks
me sad
like,
in my heart.
There's a couple different designs I've heard. They could be just 2 different people describing the same thing. I don't know. From what I've heard, it's possible that's what we could get. I don't think I'd be excited for it until we see it. And, maybe we'll see it and feel like, wow, this is actually badass. Who knows? But,
it's green Incineroar with plants. And you can turn it to crystal now. Okay.
I'll go ahead and use this opportunity to go into my second character, which is also going to be Decidueye. So we've got our first one that we match on. I picked Decidueye for very similar reasons to you. I'd like to see a grass starter in the game. Why not? You could argue, hey, but we already have Incineroar to represent Gen 7. It's like, true, but we cut Incineroar. Sakurai considered Decidueye instead of Incineroar from the very beginning. And you could also say that, well, we're on Gen 9 now. Why pick a Generation 7 Pokemon? Okay, we were on Gen 7, or we were at, like, for Smash 4, people were talking about Steptile. That was Gen 3. Sure, granted, Oris had the remakes come out. But still, if we're talking just the gens, then Decidueye just came back in Arceus. A different Decidueye, to be fair. But even then, who cares? Honestly.
Yeah.
Who cares about that?
Yeah.
Plus, if you're going into specifically to find a grass starter, you mentioned there were limited options. I'll expand on that a little bit here. Venusaur, not going to work in Smash. Meganium,
Right.
fucking same. Sceptile is possible, but there's always been something about its design that hasn't really sat right with me in terms of being like a big old platform fighter. To be fair, you could say the same thing about Ridley, but we're not going to get into that right now. Torterra, same problem as Venusaur. Superior, slightly different, but also a little awkward. Chestnut could work. Chestnut could easily work. Nobody likes Chestnut. Except for, like, me.
Ain't that
I'm like Chestnut's one fan. Like, I like him. Like, honestly, when Gen 6 was out, I picked Chestnut. Its mid-form is weird. To be fair, Quilladin is one of the worst middle evolution starters of the bunch. But I honestly did not like Greninja when Gen 6 came out. I was just like, what is this tongue scarf ninja frog? What the fuck?
Isn't that a sentence?
It's still weird. It uses a tongue as a scarf, and then also when it opens its mouth, it's still got its tongue in there. What's its scarf then?
I don't know.
But then, we got Gen 7. Decidueye is, like, perfect. It's great in Pokemon. It's a fan favorite. It just looks like it would fit into Smash easily. And then Rillaboom afterwards is just Donkey Kong but with leaves for hair. And I'm sorry, but Rillaboom does not excite me on any level. Sorry, guys.
Right.
So yeah, I want Decidueye easily. Was not even a question. He was actually because after I got down to 22 characters, I did a group of characters that I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna grab the top priority characters. Ephraim and Decidueye were both my top priority characters. They were among the two of the first 6 that I ended up picking from my roster.
Very interesting. Okay. Maybe I should hit you with one of my top priority characters next. The first character, literally the first character I wrote down on my list, period, even when it was 40 plus long. And that is a friend of ours. We've seen him on the show a couple of times in different iterations. We may even have him back one day. His name is Waluigi.
Oh.
Yep. And he says "Waha" to you and to you. What is there to explain here? Out of most remaining first, second party choices in Smash, one of the greatest travesties in my mind, and I know yours as well, and many sensible Smash Bros. Fans.
And many non-sensible, because some people are crazy and assaulted Sakurai on Twitter, which don't do that.
Yeah, that might have put him off another game or two for us. But he's proven his mettle. Yes, he is a major star in Mario spin-off games, and people try to use that against him. I wonder why. Smash itself is a spin-off game, and we have stranger characters than Waluigi in.
I'm sorry.
By the droves.
Who the fuck knows Daisy for her mainline Mario appearances? Oh, what's that? Nobody? All right. You know her from the spin-offs. Yeah, she's in Super Mario Land. But nobody knows her from that. They know her from the spin-offs. Does she have anything from Super Mario Land in her character for Smash? No.
Nope.
She's a fucking echo of Peach. Fuck off with that. Spin-offs are fine.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. And for those reasons, he's in. He's a lock. He's a darling of the Smash community and should have already been playable over, Piranha Plant. Hello. And here we are.
Prior to Ultimate, there was considered a big three of characters that people were championing for on a major level, and were three of the most popular requests for characters to get in Smash. Ridley, Banjo-Kazooie, and King K. Rool. All three of them are now in. I feel like if there was a new big three, and granted, I'm not really tapped into a lot of the community stuff anymore, I feel like Waluigi would be part of that big three now, with a new one. Who the other two are, I don't fucking know. But Waluigi's in it.
These could possibly be the most discussed character, not actually playable. Besides maybe some other folks that we may or may not get to in this discussion.
I mean, that sounds accurate to me. Before then, I would have said it was Ridley, easily.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
But,
but here we go.
I feel like whenever you mention a character that you said is on your list, and then that character ends up being on my list, I might as well just reveal them right after the fact. So, yeah. Waluigi is also on my list. There he is. I could not find his image for a second there. Interestingly, though, you said Waluigi is the first character to be added onto yours. Waluigi is one of the last characters I added to mine.
Really?
Because I was like, do I have room to add a Mario character here? Do I have that space with only 12 picks? And I got down to a point where I had 3 characters left. I was debating between 3 characters I really, really wanted. I was like, I have to cut one of these so the other 2 can live. And I kept Waluigi as one of them. We'll get to the other 2 probably later. But yeah, it's not that I was debating, like, it's not that I was considering cutting him. It was just a matter of, series representation. Can I afford the spot over somebody else in another series? And in the end, he made it, but it was close.
That's fair. If not for the pedigree of Mario and its spinoffs, then I would say no. But I mean, because it's Mario of all things, sure. Yeah. Go on ahead. Lesser choices have already been made with Rosalina and arguably Bowser Jr. So.
No, I think Bowser Jr. being before Waluigi is fair. Rosalina, though, I'll agree with you.
Sure.
When Rosalina was revealed, it's like, really? Like, that's who our Mario character's going to be in this game? And then when they finally revealed Bowser Jr., it's like, okay, I'm less upset now.
Yeah.
Because Junior is good. Rosalina was just like, man, you people bitch about how we shouldn't have Sheik because she's only in one game, but Rosalina... She's in 3D land.
4 characters.
Is she, though? Is she? Is she?
I'm 4 characters with limited appearances because they can make a splash, but
yeah,
it's funny.
I'm not against them
that Mario's treated that way, but
they have something about them that makes them unique, or something about them that had them be important to the story. Sheik is fine. I don't have a problem with Sheik. Agatha would be weird.
Agatha would be weird. I think Sheik and Rosalina are both fine.
I don't get the love for Bruce. I don't get why people were obsessed with having Girahima. It's like, really?
Right. But on the same token, there's some pretty good one-off Zelda characters that could at the very least be available to fanfare. A number of them. And what was difficult was whittling those characters down, because I can't have 6 Zelda newcomers as much as I want them. So who were they? Because there is at least one on my list, and so I'll reveal one right now. It's Tetra.
Okay, Tetra. I like it. I like that pick.
We're the cel-shaded area of the Zelda series has become a staple for the franchise. You've got your Wind Waker, your Spirit Tracks, your Phantom Hourglass, Minish Cap, Four Swords Adventures, Triforce Heroes. List goes on. funnily enough, compared to the negative fanfare from back when Wind Waker was first announced, it's here to stay, and people love it. And Tetra is a beloved character from the flagship title for those series, Wind Waker. Being a character who is a little more than one-off, since she has a major role in Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, has a legacy in Spirit Tracks, Tetra's Trackers. Okay, she's kind of got a little more going for her than I even imagined when I added her to this list. I think it would be cool to have a playable pirate. And if you're going to not have Toon Link playable with his various weapons from, say, Wind Waker, the Megaton Hammer, the Deku Leaf, you did this in season 1, I think, of Super Cash Brothers with the Smashtopia redo.
Yep.
Then Tetra is just as good of a pick, if not better than Toon Link, because at least she's not another Link, right? I was about to say Triforce wielder, but
yeah, because she technically is another Zelda, but she is not another Link. Yeah.
And she's so far removed from Zelda. She's, arguably more so than Sheik.
Yeah, she can she is Zelda, but Zelda is more like she essentially randomly from home and changed her identity to be Tetra, but she really embraced it, and she doesn't really consider herself to be Zelda. Not really.
Right.
She sees herself more in Tetra, which is weird. Why in Phantom Hourglass she is a Zelda ghost or something. It's like, what? I thought you're Tetra. Okay.
That is true.
Why did she become a Zelda ghost and not a Tetra ghost?
I don't recall. Because she was Tetra. I barely remember the game, but she was Tetra at the beginning of it.
Yes, she was.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good perspective. Zelda to Tetra is more like Sheik to Zelda in Ocarina of Time, as in the tertiary, the secondary to her main personality, which is Tetra in Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass. So she's more or less her own character, despite the lineage of Hyrule royalty. Has some cool stuff on her plate. And I think a Midna would, a Skull Kid would. So that there could be dispute between Zelda, assuming that there's someone on your list or whatever, of which Zelda newcomer to choose. But I chose Tetra because of the pedigree of the Cell Shaded series. I felt like there should be a character representative, and there's no better character than maybe Bayati, who has fallen out of the limelight in recent years, unfortunately, to represent it than Tetra.
I mean, Valti has been a character that I've talked about how he'd be a good one for being playable, and I still stand by that. But his competition is steep, and compared to Tetra and some others, he does not compare.
I would love for him to come back in another game, but until then, yeah.
That's it. Let's go ahead and get into my next one. Okay. Actually, I'll also wanted to mention on Tetra that Tetra's actually in my second wave of cuts. So once again, she was considered, just got cut.
Right.
But I'm going to go ahead and mention. Do I want to talk about? Sure, we'll talk about this person. A second character to a series that has only ever had one Smash and kept their character in the running on our roster. Mona from the WarioWare series. So,
well, there's a surprise.
Might be a bit of a surprise to have her on here, but well, WarioWare and Wario Land are two different halves of the Wario series, and Wario himself in Smash is much more heavily based on WarioWare than his origins, and some fans don't like that a whole lot. So I kind of thought in my mind, it's like, okay, in this hypothetical Smash game, we are leaving it open that these characters could be changed up with our moveset to a fairly heavy degree, because why the fuck not? So maybe Wario goes back to his Wario Land roots, and Mona is here to represent the WarioWare side of things. Why Mona over other options like Ashley, 9-Volt, Orbulon? Simply enough, she's more or less she's kind of treated as the most, I don't know, most important is not really, she's like the second face character of WarioWare. Is what I'm trying to say. Like she's not the only
Wario,
one that's been
Mona,
in all
Jimmy
the
T.
games, but she has been there from the beginning. She's been one of the main faces, and they have a lot to pull from for her. Not just like the different mini games she's involved with, but also in every game she has a different job that she's doing. So it's like, okay, there's a lot you can pull in here. Hey, you wanna replace Wario having his Wario bike? All right, she's got her scooter. You've got
Mm-hmm.
that. She could have something with her baton twirling from her cheerleader days or something. There's options that you could go in for her to make her more the WarioWare rep and make Wario the land rep.
Mm-hmm. I would be for that. I think. Yeah. There's some competition in the Wario series. There's been arguments for Captain Syrup rather prominently. Ashley very prominently, being a fan favorite character from Ware. And then I think you can make an argument for most of the WarioWare cast as well because they're such a unique batch of characters. They're all pretty neat. But I agree. Wario, Mona, and actually like Jimmy T have kind of been the box art characters and kind of the lead characters. Mona's always felt like the secondary, like second in command to Wario, and kind of plays into that in her story roles as well. So she's a very prominent character.
And one of the games, I'm pretty sure it also says that she has a crush on Wario, which is gross. That's disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, it is. For multiple reasons that I don't think we have to get into, but yeah, that's the major point to be made. Well, now she can be with her crush on the roster potentially. That's a nice choice. A little bit out of left field, but I like left field choices when they make sense. And this is a sensible pick. It's not your Piranha Plant, so.
No, it's not.
I guess on to my next pick then. Wouldn't quite say this is a left field choice, but while we're harping on Mario adjacent characters, I might as well go for another one of those and say that Gino has made my list. Possibly to no surprise of most Smash fans. I think if Waluigi's not the most talked about in the Smash community, it's him. I think these two are probably part of the big three. The third might be Bandanity at this point, to be honest with you, or maybe fair. Isaac. But so after Banjo, Ridley, K. Rool, arguably the pedigree of the big three is dropped by a peg. But
that's it had to. It had to. Those three were titans.
I still remember my live reaction in chat for K. Rool's reveal as like losing my absolute fucking mind, going like monkey style.
I don't remember if we were on camera or if we were on because we tried to be on VC for all the announcements that we could. I don't remember being on for all of them, but I know we were on for Ridley,
Banjo,
and
Ridley. Yeah.
With the feeds when his trailer started, like I don't remember why, but I instantly knew who it was, and I'm just like I started screaming and I muted myself, just like oh fuck, I'm ahead of them a few seconds. I had to mute because oh my fucking god.
Yeah, you, me, and Flamezone were watching together.
We were.
That was awesome. And we also did the same for Sephiroth, and Eric had that reaction then. It's like, holy shit. They still know what they're doing. But here's another character. I think that he would have been in by now had we not had Square muddling up the rights. Almost undoubtedly, Sakurai knows, Nintendo knows that this character is deeply wanted by the community as much as K. Rool and Ridley were, as much as Banjo was, as much as Sora was. But
just to clarify, you mean that if Gino was a wholly owned Nintendo character?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I because I think that, and it's been more or less speculated, more or less nearly confirmed, that when Sakurai goes into these meetings with Square, it's more business-esque than with other companies where they're like, yeah, sure, you can use our character. Square's like, we'll give you Cloud if you let Sephiroth be DLC. And who's going to sell more to the normie crowd? Is it going to be Sephiroth and Sora and Hero, or is it going to be Gino?
It's honestly
fair. And then there you go. It's
honestly fair.
Yeah. It is fair. It's sad to our niche community, but it's fair. Here, though, I mean, they have their Hero. They have their Cloud. They have their Sora. So who are they going to go to? Oh, who knows? Who knows? I was going to say Lara Croft actually, but I don't think they own Eidos anymore.
They're looking to sell. Actually, no. Eidos lost the rights to Tomb Raiders, but no. That's the movie rights for MGM. That's right. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I think the games are getting another reboot though, if I remember right. No. I don't know Tomb Raider. We're gonna skip past that because we got other things to talk about because we don't have a lot of time here. We've already spent a lot more of it than I thought we were going to on just 9 characters. So, Gino, love him. He's the character that I personally really want a lot in Smash.
Your number 1 choice, I mean.
Yes. However, he's not on my list. In fact, Gino was one of the very first characters I cut. I did not have room for Gino on my roster. I only have 12 spots, and we already cut so many. I had to take out as much of my personal bias as possible, and it was hard, okay?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I wanted to, but there was just not room.
Okay.
If it was if it was a pure roster, just like, who do I want in the most? He's there. But I had to think about this being a real roster-ish and balancing things out. And he did not land for me. Instead...
You're so lucky Thanos is asleep.
Instead, I'm going to talk about a different third-party character. I'm going to talk about a character that, at that one point people believed was in. They thought leaks were suggesting this character was going to happen, and that it didn't. And we were just like, what? And that's Dante from Devil May Cry.
Okay. Well, that works, yeah.
Yeah. Very popular character from Capcom. Popular series. He's featured prominently in crossover material. A lot of people have when it comes to the Capcom series for Smash, there's good competition. Like, a lot of Capcom franchises would work well and are good options. Dante is, I believe, one of the more popular of them as terms of just like its series itself being popular. And he's got a lot of crazy shit to him. He's got a variety of weaponry, much like Bayonetta, but she doesn't really use a variety, which is kind of weird. And his general attitude, man, I could see him just fitting in, really.
Yeah. He's like, let me shoot you in the face while eating a slice of pizza and flipping you off.
Yeah.
Riding on my motorbike.
Honestly, one of his victory poses has got to be him eating pizza.
It's a special kind of B-movie cheese. Devil May Cry and Resident Evil are fucking great for that.
Yeah.
Both Capcom franchises that have there are so many Capcom characters to choose from. I'm surprised we didn't get any in Ultimate. That
honestly,
new besides Ken. You have Dante. You have most
Dante, Phoenix Wright, Morrigan, Amaterasu. So many people from Resident Evil. Resident Evil's getting a second chapter in Dead by Daylight now, but we don't have a character in Smash.
And I got to tell you, I don't have a Resident Evil character in my roster either, but another third-party character that I do have on my roster from a horror franchise is Alucard.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably no surprise to you after we pretty much discussed it in the first half.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with this.
Yeah. My measure here is Simon has time in the sun. We ultimately cut him for hero in the end. It was a sad choice. Kind of just was what it was. Castlevania to me is still a flagship series with a rich history on Nintendo consoles. It's a shame that it's not currently represented here. I mean, to me, you have Sonic, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Street Fighter. Toss in the 5th franchise with as many games as those have, and it's Castlevania still. Which is why on the onset I was like, Simon has to be in the next game. Simon has to be in the next game. And we got him. Now, Sakurai had already said in the past they considered Alucard for the role over the Belmonts. Now let's just toss him a bone. Here is his chance to have a character slot over the Belmonts. And I think that Castlevania has a rotating roster of characters, many of which are rather popular. Your Alucards, your Somas, Richter, Trevor, Simon. And Alucard fits snugly right in there. He's from Symphony of the Night, the Ocarina of Time of Castlevania. He'll fit right in. Done.
I'm not surprised Alucard is here because, again, we cut Simon Richter, and there were some we discussed it in the first half. There were some characters that you cut on the premise of replacing them in part 2. Mm-hmm. Alucard, I will also say, made it to the final 10 characters on my side of things when I was making my decisions until he got cut. Mm-hmm. He because I had 10 characters left and 4 more slots to fill. And that's when Alucard fell, was in that part. He made it very far for me. Because I was considering the Castlevania angle as well, because it felt weird cutting Castlevania entirely. So he was under heavy consideration for me. But
got it.
The next character I would like to discuss here, let's do... I probably should do a better job of actually putting notation on which ones I've covered. There we go. Let me just edit that. Awesome. Sure. Let's talk about you. Yes. So far we've had a new third-party franchise, or an existing third-party franchise, and then a bunch of existing Nintendo franchises. So let's talk about new Nintendo franchises. I had 10 characters that I debated between that were specifically from new Nintendo franchises. And somebody who I chose to add was a character that is popularly asked for, but whose series is kind of dead. And that's Isaac from Golden Sun. I myself have only played a little bit of Golden Sun. I got to the point where I had the world map, and then I stopped playing. Not because I didn't like the game, but because I just had other things that I was doing at the time, and I just haven't had a chance to get back into it. Honestly, what I'll probably end up doing someday is just watching somebody else play it, because I don't have the time, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But from what I've seen and what I've read about it, I mean, it seems like a very interesting game. It has a cult fan base. You have your RPG skills for battle, but you also use some of them on the map for some puzzle solving, which is not a common idea typically, but I think it works pretty well from what I played, and I'd like to see more from the series. I'd like to see get some attention again and get some love for Golden Sun. Where's a remaster or something at least?
Yeah, they gave us Dark Dawn on the DS, which no one really talks about. It was not a bad game, it was just kind of middling compared to the first two. Mm-hmm. And Nintendo's response, as it often is to titles that don't overwhelm in sales, are like, okay, let's just cut this franchise and move on.
Yep.
Kind of not the fairest shake. Is
Camelot made Golden Sun, right? What are they doing these days? Are they still around?
Camelot is still around. I think they developed the last sports titles for Mario.
Oh, that's right. They're in Mario spin-off Hell. That's what it is.
They can't even give RPG elements really to Mario spin-offs anymore. It's like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, they made Golden Sun, and then they made Mario Golf and Mario Tennis on the GBA in the same sprite style and art style as Golden Sun, and those were great games.
Tennis on GBA, or was it GBC? I don't remember. But God, I fucking love that tennis game. That's my Mario Tennis.
Mm-hmm. Those were great. Those were great games. And to the same key. I mean, Isaac, I love his synergy effects in the game. It's a different kind of magic than what you normally get in an RPG. I would love to see this game remade. Like Advance Wars supposedly is eventually on the Switch one of these days, whenever they decide to release it. And I will say at this point that Isaac is also on my list.
All right. I also
He's
found on
almost-
here. I
yeah.
want to go ahead and pipe in on this. For Camelot, they started off with the Shining Force series, which has quite a few games actually, and then made
Those are great games.
Yeah, then they made the first Mario Golf and Tennis. They made Golden Sun, a little bit more Golf and Tennis. Then they finally got to do Dark Dawn, 8 years after the first two Golden Suns, and then they've been doing literally nothing else but tennis and golf since. That's sad.
Come on, at least get them on baseball. Bring Mario baseball.
I mean, they did do Mario Sports Superstars in 2017.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, which was,
That was
not enjoyed.
enough variance for them.
Oh man, poor Camelot. What happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
Poor guys.
Nintendo kind of happened to them, to be honest. That good old Nintendo homogeneity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did you have
But
more to say on
those are-
Isaac after you said he was on your list?
He can almost be almost. It's kind of sad. We're almost at the point. Golden Sun is 20-ish years old. He can practically be considered a retro pick at this point.
The definition of retro
just
picks
not quite.
is a question
Mm-hmm.
that I think a lot of us
Mhm.
don't know the answer to, other than saying, "Hey, if it's SNES or older, and they're not part of like a huge long franchise like Mario, then they're a retro pick." But
Mm-hmm.
when does retro extend to N64 or GBC? I don't know. I don't know. Is it already? I don't know. I'm not getting in that argument right now. Mischief Makers is a
I'll tell
retro
you.
pick.
I mean, kind of feels that way, to be honest with you. People in the generation after us definitely would think that. They're like, "Oh my God, you used to use SD cards in your
We
camera and
are
camcorder?"
so old. So old.
Yeah,
Anywho.
and yet the world stays the same.
Anyway, I believe that's my cue to pick another character. I'm gonna go with somebody, a character that kind of typically breaks one of my own personal, not necessarily like rules, but something that's irked me about previous Smash games when they add a character that is so purely for promotional reasons. It's like, oh, their game just came out, so let's just add them in the Smash to make people buy the game. I hate that. But that said, we're not making a Smash game to release next year. We're just talking about like whatever the next Smash game is. So I am talking about from the brand new game Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the main character Noah. Now, to be fair, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has released. I have not gotten to play it yet. I'm considering picking it up after I finish the third route in Fire Emblem Three Hopes. I'm considering picking up. I don't know if I want to pick it up right away, if I just want to wait until people have learned the game, and because Xenoblade is known for really long and some complicated quests. I'm just like, I might want to wait until people have figured them out. But, you know, but I decided I want to go ahead and give Noah a nod here, because we got Shulk, we got Pyro Mythra, Sakurai clearly likes the series. Is it maybe too much to be giving a third character of the series when we just killed so many fan favorites? Quite possibly. I don't disagree with that argument, but I wanted to give him a nod.
That is fair. I did start Xenoblade 3. Big fan of the series as well, and just so pleased that it's moved beyond Operation Rainfall into a up and coming franchise for Nintendo. I think it and Splatoon both they've kind of hit their stride, and we may actually continue to see more and more games in the series from them, which is pretty cool. It's neat to see Nintendo have an RPG that they don't abandon Golden Sun. And the premise of the game is cool. I mean, Noah's an attacker. He has his Nito Minato style kind of sword to fight with, along with a bunch of different combat arts, which are different than Soul's. The premise of the game is wild and kind of fucked up. So I'm interested in seeing you start it when you do.
Yeah.
Because just that opening cutscene, I was like, oh my god. It's like, it
I
definitely doesn't start like Xenoblade 2 does.
I did finally finish watching the Future Connected DLC for Xenoblade 1 Definitive. Because I'd watched an LP of the first game. I haven't played the first game stuff. I just watched Chugga Conroy play through it. And then I recently finally finished watching Future Connected because it's like, first of all, it's called Future Connected. And we know Xenoblade 3 is connected in the future to the previous two games. Rest in peace, Xenoblade Chronicles X. So it's like, something here could be a thing. I don't know. I have to finish watching this before I can move on to 3. I'll get there.
Future Connected. I mean, it's also like Friend Zone the game. So,
that's the main game. The main game is Friend Zone the game. Also, Xenoblade 2. Man, I feel bad for whoever the secondary love interest is in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because we know what's going to happen. Yeah, I love you and all you guys. Oh, that hurt. That hurt.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It hurt me physically. Out of embarrassment. I'll give you a character who is from a recent game, but it's in a long-standing franchise for Nintendo. And this is our buddy from a recent sci-fi adventure, Ravenbeak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We spoke about him on Smashtopia with Twilix not too long ago. Had a good old time with that. With Metroid, it's always kind of a thing of Samus. It's a game where you play as Samus on an isolated planet. Who makes sense? I mean, Samus for a long time went on her own to represent the franchise, given that basic premise. That was fair for a while through Brawl. Smash 4, it started to feel a little bit like BS that we didn't get Ridley yet. Then we got Ridley. And we got Dark Samus. Now Dark Samus is gone because it was an easy cut as an Echo. All that
and Zero Suit Samus, just to be clear.
And Zero Suit Samus, who we're cutting half the roster. I feel like it was an easy cut for us.
One of the first.
For me too. I mean, it's literally Samus again.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And if you're gonna keep saying, obviously it's in the power suit, the various suit, whatever it is. Ravenbeak is a cool character. He represents the Chosen race. I feel like Metroid, even though it's probably second tier to Nintendo compared to your Mario, your Zelda, your Pokemon, it's up there. It's still retained popularity over the years, even though Prime games are known to be in development hell. Dread was in development hell for 10 plus years. It has a loyal fan base that keeps it afloat, keeps demand running for Nintendo. And with that said, with Dark Samus and Zero Suit Samus gone from the equation, Ravenbeak is kind of the new hotness, but he has a great character design, great moveset potential. I think he's a natural fit for Smash 6, to be honest with you. I would almost. There's a lot of ways it can go, depending on how many new characters we get. I would almost be surprised if he's not in Smash 6, at least in some capacity. So here he is now. I think he's a cool villain choice.
All right. Ravenbeak is somebody that I considered as well. He was actually one of the 15 characters. He was like at the end of the last 15 characters between when I had 4 slots left to fill, and he fell at that point. Yeah, it was rough. Yeah, I had a lot of rough picks to make. Alucard was after Ravenbeak got cut. They were not in the same stage.
Got it.
Ravenbeak was cut at the same time as Kamek and Kratos. Actually, they both died at the same time. Yeah, all 3 of them.
Kamek.
Yeah. Ravenbeak, though, he would be great. I'd love to see him in the next Smash game, but I just, again, didn't have the room here. But in real Smash, fuck yeah, bring it on. The next character I want to mention, you mentioned a Zelda character a while back. You mentioned Tetra as somebody that would be a good new Zelda character to bring in. I also have a Zelda character on my list. Obviously, it's not Tetra. It's actually a non-Triforce wielder. That was something that was important to me. If I could only have one new Zelda rep, it was going to not be a Triforce wielder. If I was going to have a second one, I would have considered Tetra. I would have considered Ganon. I would not have considered another Link. But I decided to go ahead and pick a character that, the two of us talked about before. And it's of all the, I mean, obviously, because I'm picking them as my one here, of all the Zelda characters, they're who I would next most like to see, at least of the non-transfer swirls, because, man, you make a real good case for Tetra, and there's a real good case for Ganon. But I want Midna. Sure, it's been a while since Twilight Princess, but it's still a great game. Midna is a great character. She can fight insanely differently from the entire fucking roster, which is something that's incredibly important. She proved that she can fight in Hyrule Warriors. Why the fuck not? Bring in Midna.
I'm 100% down for it. I love Twilight Princess. It's a fun game. Historically, Nintendo just kind of gave what the fans what they wanted with the darker style title. And she brought it. I mean, she was a wonderful character. I think out of all the companion characters in Zelda history, probably my favorite. Definitely better than any of the fairies. God. Like, why aren't we talking about Navi and Tattle right now? Beyond that, or Ciela. I don't know. We'll figure it out in another Smashtopia. But yeah, I mean, Midna has a high pedigree on this show. Even Tournament of Champions one winner after some contention, and
I just had an idea for a
heavy
Navi assist
Smashtopia.
trophy. I just need to write this note down real quick, because
Feel free. So I'm for Midna, absolutely, and that's also why Midna is on my list.
all right.
Oh, I got 2 Zelda newcomers. That's the difference. It sounds like you got 1. I got 2. I think that if any series, Gino's kind of a Mario inclusion, despite being third party.
No, he's absolutely a Mario character. He's third party as well, but he is a Mario character.
Yes, absolutely. So if they were gonna, I think Zelda is in the same spot as Mario. Zelda more so actually, because Mario's Mario, but Zelda, it should. I mean, in the next Smash, in this Smash even, it should have had 2 newcomers. And there's so many to choose from. I was choosing between Midna, Tetra, Ganon, Skull Kid. Those were just the main 4 I was choosing between. Ganon and Skull Kid just barely not making it. All would have been great choices. And there's still arguably more. There's the Mifa, Daruk. Wow, I'm blanking on the Gerudo's name right now.
Urbosa.
Legendary Urbosa. Yep, legendary heroes from Rivali, I guess, but Decidueye has that covered. And more. I am astounded by Zelda's representation in Smash. It's bad.
It really
so
is.
that's kind of why there's 2 here. I think that there was room. So
Okay.
bada bing, bada boom.
All right, then. Let's go ahead and get into another character pick. This next one, I mentioned before how I got down to 3 characters at one point, where I only had 2 slots left, so one of them had to go. Waluigi was one of those 3. The other character who I kept out of those 3, this may be a surprise to you. It's somebody we've talked about before on this show. I almost clicked on the wrong character and revealed somebody early. It's Porky Minch. Porky was one of the... It was Waluigi, Porky, and another character that because I don't want to mention them yet in case they're on your list. But the 2 of them and another character, they were all the final 3. And I was just like, man, I want all 3 of these. Waluigi is just like a big want. I love his character. I'd love to see him in. Other person is also crazy cool. I'd like to see them in. Porky would be just so different from everything. The big question with Porky is like, Earthbound getting a second rep after we just cut Lucas. Fuck it, he's different. Let's go.
Porky is one of my favorite characters that we workshopped in the Smashtopia episode with Trevor. That was great. We found out how he can fight from his mech. It was definitely different. It was different from Bowser Jr. fighting in the Cubic Clown Car. I dig it. It's not something I have on my list. I think that's only natural. Mother's kind of a left field choice for this, but I welcome him to the discussion. That's pretty neat. And moving on here to my next character, one that is also from a newer franchise, a newer Nintendo franchise, and one that I already talked about actually. It's the Octoling from Splatoon. After the Octo expansion came out, we finally got our major Octoling storyline in Splatoon 2, got playable Octolings in Splatoon 2. They're here to stay. I mean, it's only natural. You give them different weapons, of which there are numerous, and you got your player 2 from Splatoon ready to go. I feel it's a natural choice. Again, one that feels almost like a lock for the next actual Smash. Whether or not for this discussion, I don't know. But I felt that they deserved a nod.
I easily see Octoling coming in the next Smash game. Whether it'll be their own unique character or whether it'll be something semi-clone or Echo-like, could go either way. I could easily just see Sakura going just like, Echo, and calling it a day. Which,
agreed.
I can't say that I disagree with that, because, at least Octoling being an Echo makes more sense than, say, I had one in my mind. Some of the Echoes are just like, really? What? Dark Samus. Dark Samus doesn't need to be an Echo. Like, Dark Samus has enough unique stuff for them. But Octoling, they easily fit that. It's like, alright, I can't really argue with that. That said, they didn't make my list. Again, they were in consideration. They were in my second round of cuts. They were cut because while I love Splatoon, and I like the Octolings, thinking about it, Splatoon is honestly fair enough represented by just one character. The whole game is represented right there, pretty much. I'm not opposed to them getting another rep in another game, but when I got 12 slots, I was being very conservative about things. So that's just how that went.
What if it's Big Judd as the Splatoon character?
I mean, I have an idea for a Judd assist trophy, so who knows? Maybe.
All right, and Krusty Sean too. Okay.
No, I don't have anything for Krusty Sean. Let's see. For the next character I want to discuss, let's talk RPGs. Let's talk. This is where you might be thinking I got sacrilegious. Let's talk Mario RPGs.
What? Mallow?
You had Geno.
Croco?
I did not have Geno, as we've discussed. While I did say that Waluigi was one of the very last characters I added, but there was another Mario character that was in my first round of characters that I added. That's Paper Mario. That's what this is why Geno is not on my list, because I prioritize Paper Mario. Yeah, it's his own unique thing. He still has games, even though the more recent games are. Let's ignore that they exist.
Speaking of sacrilegious, yep.
Yeah, but I think Paper Mario, like, yeah, sure. People say like, oh, another Mario, oh, another Link. This isn't really just for the Mario. He would be completely different. He's not going to do the same things regular Mario's doing in Smash. He really can't. It wouldn't make sense for him to. He's a great another RPG character pick for this. He's probably going to be using his hammer for more things than not. He's going to be a lot shorter of a character. He's got his own unique properties and stats and whatnot that he'd have. I'm not for Paper Mario. That's my Mario RPG pick. Give the Paper Mario series a fucking nod. That's not just a trash stage in Smash 4.
Yeah, I mean, I love Paper Mario, and by I love Paper Mario, I mean that I love the first 3 games in the series. Color Splash and Sticker Star, no. Origami King. You hear the word on the street is that it's the humor's back. But you're still dealing with every character being a generic Toad. Yeah. And you're still dealing with like an absurd battle system that tries too hard. So I didn't give it a whirl. I didn't.
There were leaks ahead of Origami King that they were working on the Paper Mario game, and they were going to be bringing back elements from the earlier 2 games, and like a lot of people had their attention going like, I'm sorry, what? What? And then we saw that first trailer, and they showed the battle system, and I immediately was out. Like, nope, no, I'm out. That's not what I want. I don't want to play that. For the people that do want to play that, enjoy it. I don't want to play that.
I find that the people that want to play that are usually the ones that didn't put much stock in the original games. And given, I would hope that Paper Mario and Smash would focus on those first few games, knowing that that's what the fans like, but I don't know. Considering the stage that we got on the 3DS, I don't know.
I wouldn't be opposed to, like, elements. Like, hey, if he swings his hammer really hard on his, like, side smash something, a little bit of, like, paint comes up. A little nod to Color Splash. Sure, whatever. But don't give him a moveset based on the new games. Please.
Yep. Yeah, the final smash is just the fan from Sticker Star. Yeah, that's my point of contention with him. But I mean, I love Paper Mario. I hope that he's playable one day. I just want the Geno route, just given the fanfare for Geno in our community. So
Fair.
we'll get to that discussion, I am sure. In the meantime, I will reveal my next character. We're finally whittling down. We got 5 left, so let's do it to it. My next guy I'm gonna show off is from the Kirby franchise. And it's not the Kirby character that some people would expect, because it's not Bandanity. This is my card to play when I said, okay, Bandanity is a natural choice. We're not choosing Bandanity, we're choosing Marks.
There it is.
The original Kirby Betrayal. Marks is a crazy cool villain. We got, one could argue that his boss battle in Ultimate is the best way to represent him in Smash.
It's honestly fair.
Which is very fair. But you could have gotten an amazing Ridley battle or K. Rool battle and be like, wow. But so to me, there's still room here, especially after Star Allies, which functions so well as with their DLC as just showing us how different Kirby characters, droves of them, could play in a 2D field like that. Marks included. You made a Marks moveset on Smashtovia. We could easily model this.
I made a moveset for a lot of these characters.
Yeah, that's also true. We made a moveset together for a few of these characters too. Waluigi just
Mario. I made Situai. I made Ephraim. I made Isaac.
Porky.
I made Marks.
That's true.
Well, I wasn't kind of the ones that we did together. I was just saying my solo ones. I did a lot of these guys.
Looking at the list, there's a few here that haven't been done that I want to do too.
My last 2 characters are ones that I've made movesets for.
Really? Okay, so I'm assuming Marks hasn't made your list, obviously, but yeah, I think he's top tier Kirby choice. This being a new game, assuming he's not a boss, I just went for him over Bandanity. I think he's just a neater character.
Yeah, I love Marks. Like, of all the Kirby characters, that's who I want to see added in the most. I think he's the most interesting option. I understand why people want Bandanity. I don't understand why people want Magolor. He's just like Marks light. At least Susie has the mech. Magolor's person doesn't interest me. Marks, I would love to see Marks in. Actually, Marks was the final character I cut from my list. It was him. It was Marks versus Waluigi versus Porky Midge, and I hated making that choice. I did.
Wow.
I did.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Kirby already has Kirby, Meta Knight, and Day-to-Day. After seeing half the roster get cut, all 3 of them made it. If one of them went, Marks would have made it to my list. But since all 3 of them stuck around, I opted for Porky and Waluigi. That was how I finally resolved it to myself in the end.
Okay.
I had a reason.
They're all great choices.
Don't act like there wasn't.
Okay. There's a reason for everything.
Yes.
Doesn't mean it's a good reason. Well, it was. It was fine.
Every single one of my picks had a good reason. Now then, let's get into the last 2 that we have from both our lists. For mine, I'm going to go into the remaining third party that I have on my list here. A character that, much like Dante, was heavily discussed by the Smash community and by us as a character that could get into Smash Ultimate. And at one point, many people thought they were going to, before it just ended up not happening. And a lot of us were left confused. Not because we thought that they well, we were expecting it, and then it didn't happen. It's more or less our confusion. Mm-hmm. But that is Master Chief of the Halo franchise.
Oh my goodness.
You know, like, I'm not a big Halo fan. Honestly, I'm not. I don't enjoy playing shooter games. They're just not my genre. But it's you can't deny the legacy that Halo has had on gaming and what it's done for the FPS and overall shooting game genre. It's, you know, we've discussed this before. Doomguy is the grandfather of shooters, but Master Chief is his son. Simple enough. I put forward Master Chief.
Yeah, you have your FPS godfathers in the stuff. You mean you have your Halo and your Metroid Prime. Montiome would be proud. Dance off coming soon. But I mean, yeah, that was my point of contention here. Is I do have a FPS character as my final third party choice. Which one is it? Is it Master Chief, being, you know, the godfather of this new contemporary FPS field? Is it Doomguy, who is the grandfather of it? Is it a character from Wolfenstein or Fallout? You know, a title that
Marcus
also has a pedigree.
Phoenix.
Duke Nukem. Just kidding on either one of those. God, it is Master Chief as well, actually.
Earthworm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Master Chief as well. For the same reasons you mentioned. I mean, I like Halo. I was never very good at it, but I mean, knowing the pedigree of the character, if we're going to get into the Microsoft character, I feel like it's him. Doomguy had his shot. It could still happen. Easily, it could still happen. But now that Bethesda is a Microsoft franchise, franchise.
Microsoft owned.
Yeah, Microsoft owned. I feel like Doomguy and Master Chief as their flagship character, you know, the parent company has kind of a leg up.
Why don't we just have a Microsoft fighting game and put them both in?
Okay.
Along with the core from Forza, because what other things do they own? Right? It's just Halo and Forza. That's what their E3s and whatnot have shown me, that they own Halo and Forza.
They have not been very exciting over the last 7 years. E3 in general has been an interesting discussion over the last few years. But there we go. We both have Master Chief. Not super surprising in the end, but I feel like if you have a Microsoft character come in, it's going to be him.
I mean, after Banjo and there was a Microsoft big three of Banjo, Chief, and Steve, and well, two of them are in.
Yeah, who's their big three now? It's Chief, Doomguy, and Dragonborn, I guess.
Honestly, yes. Because again, what else does Microsoft own? I guess they own Forza. Killer Instinct. So we get Spinal in or something.
That would be the freaking day. That'll be weird. Battletoads.
Speaking of freaking weird, my last character on my list is a retro character. I didn't necessarily set out to include one, but I had the room. I had the opportunity. I like when Smash throws in a retro character because I think it's a great way to also acknowledge their older history instead of just the new stuff. Corin. I chose out of, let's see, how many retro characters did I have as possibilities? I had, depending on how you stretch retro's definition, 6 that I debated between.
Okay.
Most of them were cut in the first 2 rounds. Actually, all of them were cut in the first 2 rounds of cuts. Which left just the one Balloon Fighter.
Oh, buddy. I knew it. If it were a retro character, it would be this guy that you've been fighting for. It's I
mean, I wouldn't say that I've been fighting for him. Like, there's a lot of retro characters that I would like. F-Type from Stunt Race FX would be weird, but sure. Let's fucking go. Goku from Yuyuki. Ayumi Tachibana, Sukapon, Mock Rider. All of them were ones that I considered. I also had Andy
Mario?
on the list of possibilities.
Okay.
But I ended up going with Balloon Fighter because I think of all of them. I don't really know. I don't really know. I just like the idea of this guy who just like flaps his arms around and is held up in the air by balloons. I like the idea of him being a fighter. I think it's a really weird, interesting choice. It's like picking the ice climbers.
Mm-hmm.
Why the
Which we
fuck would you
didn't do,
add ice
so-
climbers to Smash? Like they don't fit at all. But then we did, and like I feel like Balloon Fighter is in that exact same vein. Also, it's a Satoru Iwata game. Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a great nod to Iwata. I would love for Balloon Fighter to be the choice for that reason alone. For the next retro pick in Smash. Your moveset is pretty neat too on Smashtopia because there's yet another character you've done moveset for already. Where he's deflating and inflating balloons to his advantage. Works out very well, and I could see that being his gimmick in actual Smash.
Yeah.
So if you're going with a retro, I think there's a few top tier choices. There's him, there's Takamaru, arguably possibly Mock Rider, and a few others. But Balloon Fighter is a nice choice from out of those bigger picks. Absolutely, would be at least in my top 2 retro choices myself. My final character though is not a retro character per se. They may be more known for the retro games, but they're thankfully a contemporary character now. They were brought back in the last two Donkey Kong Country games. Close. It is a Donkey Kong character. It's Dixie Kong.
Oh, okay.
That
makes sense. That makes sense.
The girl with the hair and the bubble gum. It's we got K. Rool in Ultimate. I couldn't contest that we get Dixie Kong in that game because K. Rool kind of felt with the limited number of spots we had, he was the guy to throw in. Dixie Kong though, when we come into Smash discussions, we talk about characters with a legacy, characters who deserve to make it based on their pedigree with Nintendo. The list of first and second parties who hit that so squarely is dwindling down. I think you have your Waluigi. You have arguably your Paper Mario, perhaps Isaac. Dixie Kong, I think, fits into that vein probably more so than any of those characters. It's she is the legacy choice to go with in the next Smash. I couldn't not wrap this up without her, even though that makes it 3 Mario / Mario adjacent characters. Although both of our lists actually have 3 each. So
technically, I have.
Bada bing, bada boom.
No, that's right. I do have 3. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Dixie Kong. Honestly, all of your characters that I didn't include were included in my my short list. So when it's a 68 character long thing, it's kind of hard to miss any of the good options. The reason why I didn't end up having Dixie Kong on my initial list is the exact same reason why I didn't have Marks. We kept Donkey, Diddy, and K. Rool. If Diddy had been cut, or if K. Rool had been cut, Dixie probably would have been on my list. But I cut them just because hey, they've got their 3 big ones. But in terms of real Smash concerned, yeah, please, next Smash, put in Dixie Kong. What the fuck? It took forever to get DK up to 3 characters. They need their 4th now.
Donkey Kong has had a disrespect attached to its franchise for the longest time in Smash.
Arguably, it's one of the most. It's the most disrespected franchise in Smash.
Zelda's up there too for characters, but Donkey Kong.
At least Zelda still gets attention every time. Donkey Kong, we got DK in 64. We got 2 good stages in Melee. We got Diddy in 2 of the worst stages ever in Brawl.
Yeah.
We got a cool stage in 4. And then K. Rool in 5. It's okay. It took forever to get our 3rd character.
Even though he has fought for forever along with Ridley. For literally almost 20 years. But here's our list. Here's our 24.
Here are
a
little bit less than that. It's 19 or something. But here are our 2 lists of 12, which we now need to combine to create a overall list of 12 characters.
Oh god.
To throw in with our overall Thanos roster. So,
Mm-hmm.
here's where it begins. Now, we have 5 characters here that we both agreed on. We could easily just say that we're just going to fast track all of them. But before we did that, I just wanted to go ahead and check and make sure, like, is there anything we wanted to discuss with them? Especially because we have, Waluigi, but then, like, 2 different Mario characters. We have, both of us have Midna, but then one of us has Tetra. And then, what was the others? I guess those were the real big ones. And, like, we both had, like, a couple other differences. Whereas I don't know if, like, there's any of them that we wanted to hold off in case we wanted to have another character that was, like, higher priority to discuss first. Where were you sitting on these?
So the characters that we overlap with are Waluigi, Isaac, Midna, Master Chief, and Disjoy.
Yes.
Of those 5, I think the only one that might be in contention is Midna, if we're saying we only want to go with one Zelda character. But one could also make the argument that I included Midna, so Midna was already important to me, so we could potentially fast track all 5. I have no issue with fast tracking any of the others. I think they all represent a unique spot in the roster. I mean, Waluigi absolutely has to be there. I will kill something if he's not. And the others, I mean, they just make sense. What are your thoughts?
I'm definitely down to keep all 5. I just wanted to make sure, like, because I don't know, maybe there's something like, hey, maybe Octoling is more important to you than Isaac or something. I don't know. Because if that was the case, then maybe we want to, like, not push forward Isaac yet until we discussed Octoling and just kind of just, like, see how that worked out. But I did be down to keep all 5 of these. I wouldn't say that they were the 5 that were, like, the top of my list. Like, these are the ones I most want to include. And maybe we'll get to the point where we're at the final few characters, it's like, uh-oh. We both really want one of these, or both of these, but we can't have them both unless we kill off somebody else. And maybe when we get to that point, we can potentially recut a character that we were just going to keep. I don't know. But I would be okay with, at least, for now, fast-tracking these 5.
Well, let's do it.
All right. Well, then on our screen, I'm going to go ahead and put a green check mark over these characters. I'm going to put on one on one of our sides. That way we can just count 12 green checks and keep it real fucking easy. Because otherwise we're going to see more than 5, and that's going to get kind of confusing. So let's see here. We got Waluigi. We got Midna. We got Decidueye. Isaac. And Master Chief are our 5. And then I'm just going to put the red X down on their little doubles to make things easy.
Yeah. That is fair. Now we're not focusing on that and getting confused.
Right, exactly.
Thanos agrees, but he's agreeing in his sleep. He's muttering it.
God, I hate when he does that.
I do too, but he keeps the butter fresh.
He keeps talking about kimchi. I don't know why.
I think he's making it on the farm.
I don't know. He's a weird guy. Kind of looks like a thumb. Yeah, I don't know. All right.
Destroyed half of all living things. I mean, yeah, what a guy.
So we have 5 that we've locked in at this point. What do we want to discuss from here? Where are you? What are you thinking?
That this is going to be hell.
I mean, that's fair. Is there anything in particular you wanted to bring up with a character, either somebody that you want to fight for, or somebody that you think we really don't need, that you want to argue on why we should cut them?
Someone I would want to fight for. Sure. Let's talk Tetra for a little bit, if that's okay.
Okay, let's talk Tetra.
Okay. So you've mentioned a few times, and it's a good argument. You know, you've kept your DK, Diddy, and K roll. You've kept your DDD, Meta Knight, and Kirby. That's why you didn't have March on your list or Dixie Kong on your list. We did cut Sheik from our roster, and Toon Link and Young Link as well. So Zelda's down a few characters. We're down 3. even though arguably two of them were semi-clones, pseudo-clones of Link. Still, nonetheless, we're down 3 characters. Zelda is an underrepresented franchise in Smash. At this point, arguably the most, and in terms of sales and popularity versus proper representation. It's a huge flagship franchise for Nintendo, second only to Mario, or maybe Mario and Pokemon at this point. But it has these characters, 3 of which are Links, 2 of which are Zeldas, 1 of which is Ganondorf. It's like, okay. And while Tetra's another Zelda, we already covered, we have a wildly different moveset, pirate themed, represents a major portion of these Zelda franchise now with the cell shaded games. I think she's arguably a great choice for having a second Zelda rep. It's, do we have room for a Zelda rep on this roster? And if we did, who are we cutting them for?
Tetra.
That's sure.
Tetra was in my second round of cuts. Not because I didn't think Zelda could have a second new rep, but just because it was hard. It was hard making... almost every single cut I made was hard. There were some that were easy. Elma was an easy cut. Nell Metal was a super easy cut. Cuphead was an easy cut. Tetra, I wouldn't say was easy. Like, she was gone in the second swath of cuts, which was still a 17 character. It's just like, all right, you're the bottom hanging fruit, get out. But that doesn't mean she's a bad choice, and I would be willing to include her. You brought up, is there room for another Zelda rep? After we are now down to what would be the core of Zelda, Link, Ganondorf, and Zelda. Honestly, I feel like there is. I feel like we could do a second rep. Midna is our 4th in here, and we could go a 5th for Tetra. Right now, as far as our current roster is concerned, one series has 5 reps already, and that's Mario, with Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, and now Waluigi. I feel like if a second or third series was to hit that same amount, it's Zelda, and then it's Pokemon. We don't have another Pokemon to discuss here today, and that's fine. I did have a couple other Pokemon that I had considered. Toxtricity was one of them.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Toxtricity, Tapu Koko.
God, I love Tapu Koko. And I think Tetra, if we were to do another Zelda rep past Midna, I would want it to be... I mean, I primarily still want it to be another non-Triforce Wielder, but if it had to be a Triforce Wielder, then Tetra or Ganon, the pig form, would be amazing choices. And I'd be okay with Tetra. I'm not opposed to Tetra.
Got it. Not saying we have to fast track her or anything, but it was a point I wanted to bring up at the start.
Yeah.
That's an area that I feel perhaps more passionate towards than most of the
Yeah. There's a few characters across both of our lists right now that I feel like they are lower in strength, priority. I don't quite know what the word is, but they're lower in the list for me. And I'm not opposed to seeing them be gone. I think Tetra is a good one to fight for, and that we can include.
I agree. Well, now that I've had my say on one of the characters, what are some of your initial thoughts?
On her or somebody else?
Anything. Anyone, anything.
I mean, I feel like I've said everything I had to say on her. You mentioned we don't have to fast track her yet, and I think that's probably a good idea to just not jump the gun and do it right now. Another character I feel like I want to talk about, man, there's so many that I want to talk about, but honestly, I feel like Fire Emblem should have a 4th. We cut it down to Marth, Ike, and Robin. I think they should get a 4th. Now in Smash Reality, should that be Ephraim or Alindis or Seliph or Nadelgard or whoever the fuck's gonna be in the next game, Celica, I don't know. But we only have one Fire Emblem character here to discuss. So I think Ephraim is a good one to nominate. Nobody else uses a spear in Smash. So I feel like he's a good nominee just to have for that. It's another
Ephraim
unique
is a
fighter.
great choice. Absolutely, he's a great choice, and that's my contention with the Fire Emblem series, as we've beaten on the head repeatedly, is that you got 4 Marths. It's like, hello, cull it back, give us a representation of the weapon triangle, and you have a mage with Robin already, then you're good. I mean, Ephraim would fit that bill. I guess Dimitri or Sigurd as well, but I think Ephraim is the best choice of the 3. Yeah, I'm for him, and I think he's a strong choice, and there's a strong argument for Fire Emblem to have representation. I think, along with a 5th Zelda rep, a 4th Fire Emblem rep, it feels like a natural choice. And we'll see where it goes as we whittle down the discussions on these remaining characters, I suppose. As for ones that I feel maybe closer to expendable at this point.
I wanted to ask, before you say anything here, I wanted to ask from my side who you thought was the most expendable.
At this point, it's hard to pinpoint one character. I think the most controversial. I don't mean it.
Depending on how you read that. Oh boy! Oh, your picks are trash. I can't pick one that's worse than the others. Ooh.
To be fair, I was also thinking of characters on my list.
I know. I assume you were probably going to say somebody from your list initially before I stepped in.
Mm-hmm. That was the case, yes. From your list, I wouldn't say it's the most expendable. I don't know who would be by that measure. Not because they suck, but just because it's such a nebulous concept. But I think the most controversial choice, and you'd probably agree with this, between either of our rosters is Noah.
I agree.
Given that he is from such a fresh game and such a fresh series, I would even postulate that potentially there will be people who watch this episode, listen to this episode, who say, wow, I can't believe they kept Pyra and Mithra. Because we chose them over characters with more of a history. We chose them over Ice Climbers. We chose them over Little Mac. We chose them over Jigglypuff.
A second Star Fox character.
Mm-hmm.
Simon Belmont.
And there was an argument for each of them. Alucard is the manifestation of the argument against Simon. But for the other characters, like Star Fox, for instance, it's a relatively dormant franchise, a legacy franchise given, but a dormant franchise versus a franchise that is rapidly growing. And that's where Pyra and Mithra come in. That's where I see your argument for Noah. But he's an interesting choice because we've constantly talked about, we don't want this really fresh character like Roy or Corrin in because they're almost a sales tool.
Mm-hmm.
And while I love Xenoblade, that's the one place here where it's like, okay, do we want to go this route and kind of eat our own words on what we said in the past ad nauseum? I like the character. I think he has potential to be the best Xenoblade protagonist, to be honest with you, just for the short amount of time I've had with the game. And I'm not saying to cut him and not cut him outright either, but that's kind of my initial thought there on that subject.
I think that's a very fair thought. Like when I was, before we got to this point, I was thinking on my list, like, okay, I was trying to figure out who is the lowest on mine, and Noah's one of the ones I was thinking of. I wasn't really sure exactly who was lowest because, man, it's hard. That's hard to just. It's like shooting one of your children in the face with a rocket. I don't know. That's why I wanted to ask you who you thought about my list instead of saying on your list, because I knew it's probably a similar difficulty for you. But no, I agree, Noah. And I knew making my list that it kind of goes against what I typically like to say about rosters and picking somebody that's like brand fucking new who we don't know anything about. The only reason why I did it is because I knew that by the point that we got here, his game would be out. And I figured, okay, that makes him at least legal in my eyes. If his game wasn't out now, then I would not have included him. And somebody else would have been there. And we know who that somebody else would have been, because I've said who my last cut was. But yeah, I agree, Noah is my weakest. As far as your side of things, who I think is the weakest on your list, it's Octoling. Love Splatoon. Love the Inklings. Love the Octolings. It's fucking amazing. I cannot wait for Splatoon 3. A friend of mine messaged me whenever Xenoblade 3's release date was released. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna lose you on this day." I'm just like, "What? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, Xenoblade release." Was like, I'm probably gonna wait to play that one. And then Splatoon got its release day like a week later, or no, I think it was the next day or something. And I told him, it's like, yeah, the real day you're losing me is this day. But bye, I'm playing Splatoon. Like I've said, I don't like shooters. Splatoon is my game. Am I great at the competitive aspect? No. Do I fucking love it? Yes. But that said, I mentioned earlier, I think Splatoon is fairly enough represented in Smash with just the Inkling. Yeah, you can have Octoling use different weaponry to make them be wholly unique from Inkling, but I think Splatoon is good with just Inkling. Would I like more? Sure, but when we have limited slots, I think Inkling is fine to rep them, and to me that makes Octoling the weak link.
You know what? I actually agree. I was thinking on the forefront, talking about Noah. I was like, Octoling is probably my weakest choice for the reasons you mentioned. It's funny how the dichotomy changes just given the specifics of the roster and what we're dealing with here with the limited amount of characters we can put in.
Mm-hmm.
Since we both agree, Octoling is a fast pass for Smash 6.
Yeah.
Noah is a fast pass for Smash 6, probably. But in the scope of these rosters, they may be the weakest links. Yeah, I actually agree with you there. Whether that means we want to cut these characters at this point, I don't know.
Here's what I
think
want to propose.
May be fair game.
Here's what I want to propose. Mm-hmm. We have both identified who we think is the character that we are most willing to fight for on each of our sides, and who we think is the weakest character on the other sides, and we've agreed on those weaknesses. So I propose we push forward Tetra and Ephraim, and we cut Noah and Octoling.
Okay, I am good with that. Let's do it.
Okay.
Fair game. Two good choices move forward. And then Noah and Octoling, not bad choices. They're just not fit for moving on.
Yep.
That's what they told me in most of my job interviews anyway.
Ooh.
Self-burn, wow. It's like something I do in my own head every day.
Ooh.
Looking good. We're getting places. Though I feel like these last few characters are going to be a little harder to move through.
Oh, they absolutely will be. There's no doubt about that. Oh God. I am not ready for that discussion about that one. Let's talk about fucking. Okay, do we have this discussion now? Because there are two spots on the roster where we have characters that kind of fill similar niches. Maybe arguably three that kind of fill similar niches. Not to say that we can't have both, but I think they should be discussed together. And I'm going to put out what those pairings are, then you tell me who you want to talk about. Alucard and Dante, Mona and Dixie Kong, or Gino and Paper Mario.
Let's get this shit out of the way and give us the big boys. Gino and Paper Mario. Let's just do it.
Oh, that's who I didn't want to talk about.
I know it's who you're loathing. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
Here's why I didn't want to do it. I was hoping they would be towards the end. We'd just be like, is there an open slot? We could have both.
Okay. Dixie Kong and Mona. Let's do it.
Okay. Dixie Kong and Mona. All right. So, the way I see it, both of these are potential keeps. Both of these are potential cuts for very different reasons. Not even just that they're both good options to bolster up the female side of the roster, but Dixie is the fourth most important character to the Donkey Kong franchise. Mona is the arguably next most important character to the WarioWare franchise. You could argue that Wario is properly repped by Wario. Some people would heavily disagree with that, depending on whether they are a Land fan or a Ware fan, and I'm not getting into that right now. Takyong, you could also say, is already properly wrapped with its 3. So there's easy arguments to make either way here on if either of these are kept or cut. What do you think?
I agree. I think that from the perspective of purely who can have their side of the who can have their series bolstered, more notably would be Mona being included over Dixie, as she would just be a secondary character to the Wario franchise as opposed to a fourth for Donkey Kong. Though also, Dixie Kong has such a pedigree in gaming history in her place as kind of a second or third wheel in the Donkey Kong Country franchise. She's out of the characters remaining, arguably the big legacy pick that we're looking at as a potential option. So it's difficult for me to say which one I would prefer over the other if only one made it in. I think there's a good argument for both. But on that same measure, there's a good argument for Geno and Paper Mario. There's a good argument for Alucard and Dante.
There's a good argument for every single one of these characters.
Yeah, and that's what makes it hard.
And most of them have good arguments to cut them.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see Mona in. I think it's a cool left field choice, but not one that feels out of place. And she's actually rather realistic, given her spot in WarioWare as kind of the number 2. So, God, yeah, those are my initial thoughts. I may even have a lean on who I would cut of the 2 if we cut one of them. Although if we could go either way, we can cut both, we can keep both, we can cut one. It's like,
Let me put it this way. Do you more strongly feel that one of them should be cut, or do you more strongly feel that one of them should be kept? And I'm not saying, like, specifically who, but, like, looking at these two, like you said, like, if you have a lean on who you would keep, if you could only keep one of them, but is that lean stronger for keeping them, or is that lean stronger for cutting the other?
Got it. It would actually, thinking about it and looking at the overall roster, at this impasse, it may be more so for cutting one of them.
Okay.
Although the argument there is, and something that Smash has always struggled with, being female representation and diversity, these two, along with Tetra and Midna, would give us that, and it wouldn't feel overwhelming. Mm-hmm.
At this point, I'm going to ask for a name. Which one of them, since you said you had a stronger lean towards the cut, who are you saying we should cut?
Did you book the grasshopper?
Shockingly enough, I would say probably Dixie.
That is shocking, actually.
And when I say a stronger lean, it's a 51-49 situation. Changes with the wind. I see your argument for 3 Donkey Kong versus 1 Wario. I see that. And that's essentially where that comes in. Both characters will be unique. Both characters have their spot. Dixie Kong is, by a long shot, the quote unquote important character. But I don't know. Mona has a unique place. And even with Wario being represented well-ish by himself and having Waluigi and always a Mario character, there's still room there's a lot of room actually Wario has more to him than people initially surmise. Like, you can have Wario, Mona, Ashley, and Captain Syrup, and to me it wouldn't feel over the top. Because they all represent something different for Wario. So I would like to see another Wario character.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not make a firm cut or keep at this point on this 2, but we'll keep that in the back of our minds. I honestly expected you to say to cut Mona, or that you were leaning to keep Dixie. I thought that's where we were going to go with this. So that's interesting to me. That's very interesting to me, actually. Let's look now at... I'm thinking we look at Dante and Alucard next.
Oh, buddy. Okay.
So as mentioned, Alucard was on my list. He was one of my later cuts, one of the very last ones, because it felt weird to completely remove Castlevania from the equation. Alucard was considered by Sakurai over the Belmonts. I don't know why he ultimately went with him, other than maybe just because Simon is the original protagonist, which fair enough. I know whatever we thought about Castlevania before we said Simon. But if Alucard had got in, I think we would have been surprised, but we would have gotten immediately over it. Unlike Kazuya, who felt a little bit, I guess kind of like Kazuya, we both were expecting Heihachi instead. But, fine, sure. Kazuya, whatever. Felt weird, but who cares?
Right.
And then Dante, the leading man for Devil May Cry. Virgil and Nero are both technically possibilities, but unlike with Alucard and the Delmas, I think it would be very weird to not get Dante, and they get one of those two instead. Granted, we're not discussing them, but I just wanted to throw that out there as a comparison. Both of them have a fairly wide variety of tools and techniques to them. They both fight demons. That's a fun thing about that.
Yep.
Alucard is basically a Belmont replacement. Dante would be bringing in something new. There are arguments for both at that point. I wouldn't really say that there's strict arguments for cutting them. There's nothing inherently wrong with them, but I don't think we want to have. I don't know if we want to have 3 more third parties when we already have so little spots to fill. That it feels like it should be one or the other. And if we wanted to have both, we'd have to cut Chief.
Potentially 4 if you include Gino as well.
In my mind, I don't really consider him, as far as Smash and roster stuff is concerned, I only think about him in a Mario space. I don't think of him as a third party spot.
Okay, that's fair. Dante, he's undeniably cool. He is Devil May Cry is a major contender, another Hideki Kamiya franchise. At one point, probably the one that people expected to see first before the Nintendo acquisition of Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Yep. And one can contend. Oh, you already have one Kamiya character in the game. They play style wise are not too dissimilar from one another. But Dante has many different things in his arsenal. He plays so differently from Bayonetta as a fighter. I don't think that's an argument on the table at all when you're considering this character.
No. Just because, if I were to compare their fighting styles, Bayonetta is more ranged to Dante's melee. They both have ranged and melee to them, but I think Dante, he has more. They both can do both, but I think of Dante, I associate him more with the sword and Bayonetta with her guns.
And again, it's not a standard sword user. He has some crazy combos and just wild shit going on.
One of his movesets in Devil May Cry 5 is a fucking hat. That's his weapon.
Yeah.
It's a hat.
Yeah.
What?
Imagine we get Dante and it's Devil May Cry reboot Dante. Oh, sorry, that was PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale.
Another Dante victory animation would be the dance he does whenever he acquires the hat. Just that whole fucking, or maybe not the whole fucking dance, but it'd be the dance.
It's such nonsense and irreverent. It's honestly great. He is a top tier character, probably undervalued by the Smash community as far as his chances and his popularity within the community goes. Because he only recently started getting talked about, during the Ultimate cycle.
Yeah.
But he is a top tier choice for Capcom and a top tier choice for third parties. I don't think anyone would be upset if he made it into Smash. Not anyone important anyway. As for Alucard, yes, he is taking the place of Simon, representing Castlevania. On that same hand, like Dante, he has so many things in his arsenal. It's not a combo-heavy, sword-based idea, melee-based idea, but he takes the souls of enemies that he defeats, incorporates them into his moveset. So there are
He's a blue mage.
he is a blue mage. There are umpteen different things that he could do, like literally hundreds of things you could cull down into a general moveset. He's the most popular Castlevania character, which is where his inclusion over Simon and Richter wouldn't be sacrilege, as opposed to Virgil and Nero over Dante. And so he's just as much of a lead. You know, he's a fan favorite character in the anime too, with Trevor and you know, just the most popular Castlevania character kind of across the board. He's a strong representative for the franchise, even if Simon and Richter were not there. Simon and Richter in the past, we kind of went with them because Simon was the progenitor of the series, and he had the Vampire Killer, the Whip, which is kind of the primary moveset for Castlevania, and what Castlevania is most associated with outside of Symphony of the Night.
Wait, which are the two like most well-known Castlevanias? The original and Symphony, and then probably Simon's Quest is number 3.
Sure, yeah. Symphonies is such a, or Ario, sorry. Symphonies is such a game, though. It is an establishment of gaming, period. I would equate it to, again, Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64, the original Halo, in terms of what it did for that type of game. It and Super Metroid renovated that genre to such an extreme that they now call those types of games Metroidvanias.
Yes.
Just kind of Frankenstein that shit. You know, so it's in terms of pedigree, these characters are on equal footing. They have equal reasoning to be here, and they have just as much crazy shit that you can put into their moveset, just coming from totally different angles in those regards. So I see, you know, kind of the genesis of your mindset where you're saying maybe only one can make it in. I don't disagree with that. It's that cutting one is sad.
Yeah,
It
I
is
agree
so
with you.
sad.
I agree with you.
And I wouldn't be surprised if these characters, because I will say outright, between the two, I will fight for Alucard. It's not a surprise to you, I'm sure, for the reasons I had mentioned. Castlevania, to me, I think the one tiny argument I would make that sets them over Dante for everything they're on equal footing for is that Devil May Cry is more important to Sony. Castlevania feels like more of a Nintendo thing now.
Okay.
At least in terms of the legacy. Yep.
Good
That is where
arguments.
it's found my footing. Yep. Now it's time for you to make just as good of an argument for Dante and be like, okay, it's like pulling teeth.
So, here's the thing. The thing. I think Devil May Cry is great.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the entire series, including the reboot, to learn more about them, and also to see if I would be able to do a moveset for him without giving myself a splitting headache. The answer to that was no. There's just too many things to consider.
There's so much.
Vast variety of weaponry in 4 different stances that change his combos. It's like,
oh, stance
dude,
that changes everything. Just kidding.
God, there's just so much there. I was just like, I would end up just picking one weapon for each special and calling it a day. That's all I could do. But Devil May Cry, you know, it's a campy game, and they embrace that.
Yeah.
That there's so much there, and it's hilarious. I love it. Even when they try to take themselves seriously, they're not taking themselves too seriously. Bayonetta is kind of similar in that regard, which is no surprise considering they're both Hideki Kamiya creations. Alucard. We talked before about how I feel about third-party franchises getting multiple unique characters in Smash. That said, both the Belmonts are gone. They've been sacrificed into the abyss, never to be seen from again. And if Castlevania was to get another character after they were gone, it's not going to be another Belmont. It's going to be Alucard. Outside chance of Dracula. I think that'd be extremely wild. but outside Chancey
That
Dracula.
would be, yeah.
Imagine if somebody made a move except for Dracula. Could you just imagine that
I did.
craziness?
I did
Oh, that's
that.
right, you
I did
did.
that on
You did
Special
do
View.
that. That's
Yeah.
right.
That would be so badass. It's not going to happen, but that would be so badass.
Yeah. And like, it's not going to be any of the other allies that the Belmonts or Alucard have had. It's not going to be them taking up the mantle. It's not going to be Shanoa. It's not going to be Sypha. It's not going to be Maria. It's not going to be Grant the Nasty.
Great. Right.
It's not going to be them. It's going to be Alucard.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now, is it Alucard or is it Dante in this Smasher Dash that we have here?
Oh.
Honestly,
Oh.
again, like so many of these other characters, like I would love to include our entire full rosters that we came up with here. I'd love to include every single character that you and I mentioned here today.
Absolutely.
But we can't. And when it comes to these two, I do feel like we should only include one, or at the very least, we should only include one for now. And if we decide to bring another one back later, then that's, another discussion.
Yeah.
Personally,
I agree.
I would probably say that I would prefer to have a whole new franchise added in.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love that. I love having, like, new shit to the crossover.
Mm-hmm.
But
mm-hmm.
I am not opposed to just throwing an Alucard.
Mm-hmm. Normally, I would agree with that argument. I'm
surprised the next words out of your mouth weren't, then let's do it. That's what I was expecting you to say.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, normally I'd agree with the argument that New Blood is more exciting. It has been repeatedly throughout Smash history. It's given the pedigree of the franchise that has been left behind by cutting Simon.
Yeah.
We're looking at Castlevania, whose, I've mentioned the term legacy quite a bit, talking about some of these characters, Dixie and Alucard. I'll say it again, recognizing the legacy of Castlevania, measuring it to Sonic and Mega Man. It's there beside them. So in this case, that's where my argument for Alucard comes from. I wouldn't be opposed to either character either, but I think we both have our leans, and if they're opposing leans, that's fine. We will certainly get to it.
Shall we do the old Smash or Dash reveal?
Oh God. Okay.
All right. What you got?
Alucard.
Very well.
Okay. It's so hard. The arguments are there for both. And if Dante's gone, Kamiya's going to ban us on Twitter.
Alucard.
Okay. Understood.
I'm okay with it. I assume you were likely to lean Alucard from the moment I decided to bring the discussion. Do I want to cut Dante? No, of course not. But I've mentioned that neither of these characters had a reason for them to be cut. Mm-hmm. Unlike some others that were like you could argue a reason. And they both have reason to be included.
Of this game.
But yeah, it's the difficulty of this game, and also, part of it comes down to sometimes when somebody feels particularly strongly about something, and if you're not opposed to it, then fuck it.
Might as well.
You do it.
Yeah, you mitigate
it.
It's been the same on some Smash Dashes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Absolutely.
That's fair. Dante can go to hell just as he constantly has.
Yes. So we now have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters that we have kept. We have 3 slots and 7 characters to consider.
Wow.
At this point, I'm going to suggest that we cut Dixie Kong and Mona.
Whoa. Okay. I'm not opposed to it.
You previously said you were 51-49 on them, with the 51 leading cut Dixie Kong over Mona. And when we were discussing weaknesses, Mona is one of the characters alongside Noah that I thought was one of the weak links on my chain. So I propose we cut them both. And we make this what did I say was left? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now it's 6 characters left for 3 slots.
Yeah, you got to make
That's
the
a lot
hard cuts.
easier.
Yep, you got to make the hard cuts. Mona's a fun idea. Dixie Kong, ugh. We've spoken at length about Dixie Kong, but that's again nature of the game. We make some decisions. Viewers that may not even agree with it. That's how it goes. That's fair.
Yep. So now, just so we have a quick recap here, the 6 characters we have left to discuss are Paper Mario, Geno, Ravenbeak, Marks, Porky, and Balloon Fighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked at these 6, and I was trying to think of leans on anything, and I still see that conversation over there with those 2. I'm just like, I don't want to think about that right now. I don't want to do it. I'm like, But then I looked at the others, and 2 names popped out in my mind of cuts that we could do.
Hey,
Which would...
I'm thinking... Yeah.
No, go on.
Sorry.
Go on.
I was thinking the same. I think that another cut or 2 might be worthwhile at this point.
Who were you thinking?
As much as it pains me to say it, I think Marks could be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the reasoning, just as you had mentioned before, and why Dixie is gone. Kirby has 3 characters left from the veteran slots already. And of the remaining characters, there may be more of a reason to include them over a 4th Kirby, just given series layout. What are you thinking?
Was that the only one you were thinking, or did you think of a second?
It's hard to say after that, right? Because they're all more unique franchises, and it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I suppose, and it comes from your side. I was thinking possibly Porky at this point.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's just me, though.
So here's where I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because I looked at these, I looked at the names and who are potential cuts for a variety of reasons. 2 came to mind. Porky was one of them.
Oh.
Yes,
Okay.
Porky was one of the last characters that I added, and I added him over Marks. I added him at the same time as I added Waluigi. The reason, the argument that I see for cutting Porky is a second Earthbound character as we cut Lucas. A series that has shown no signs of continuing or getting anything new for them besides like random art. That's a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I was thinking was actually Ravenbeak.
Okay.
Reason being, Metroid, sure, fuck yeah, more reps. But the requirements for Metroid are Samus and Ridley. That's the need.
Mm-hmm.
Past that, I honestly think we're good for a game. But I also said that about
Fair
Kirby.
enough.
I said that about Donkey Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the 2 that came to mind for me to cut. If we cut, we need, of these 6 characters, 3 more have to go. And 3 stay.
Mm-hmm.
The other characters, because I figure at this point we might as well just make mention of all of them. Balloon Fighter would be a great retro choice. He's not the only good retro choice, but he's the only retro choice that we have in this discussion. I would want to include him purely on that merit, but also, is there room for a retro pick in this? That's a question. Paper Mario and Geno. 2 different Mario RPG reps. Geno being an old school favorite for us both. A character we both really love and we want to see him be playable. Paper Mario, we both want to see him be playable as well, but more based on his original games than his newer material. but it's a character that is much more alive and in fans' minds. Both of them would fight unique, so that's not really an argument. All 6 of these characters would be fighting unique. Arguably, Ravenbeak might be the least unique of these 6. Just purely based on the fact that he's got an arm cannon and whatnot. But as we saw in our Ravenbeak moveset episode, he can absolutely be unique. So it's hard with them. There's also the question, like, we toyed around with the idea of things like, oh, what if we just snuck in both Paper Mario and Gino? That would put Mario at 6 characters.
Ooh,
no, wait. 7. That put Mario at 7 characters. Because we kept the 4 core, and we've already added in Waluigi. And then the next most common franchise would be Zelda with 4. And Fire Emblem, Zelda and Fire Emblem and Pokemon all at 4. 7 to 4 is a huge gap. 6 to 4, even with the way this kind of stuff is, kind of a big gap too. So
I thought Zelda would have 5.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Zelda has 5. So 6 to 5 isn't bad, but still, 7 to 5 in a thing like this does still feel big. I'm not ruling it out. I'm just wanting to put out all of my concerns for everybody, essentially. There are reasons for each of these 6 characters on why they could be cut. Not why they should be, but why they could be.
Counter argument being, if one franchise is going to get 7, Mario
it would be Mario.
Be
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, it's difficult. As we whittle down, it becomes harder. But sounds like we have common ground on a few things. If we went with the characters that we just said outright were the ones that we felt maybe at this point to cut, it'd be Porky, Marks, and Ravenbeak, and you have the 3 already. Sure. On the other hand, I think we've both spoken about Porky enough to the point that I think he's the easiest out right now, and I'm not opposed to Ravenbeak being gone either, so we at least have a top 4.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Because I can concur with the Metroid argument, the least unique argument for Ravenbeak. Porky, he's a 3rd RPG character out of the 6, and from the RPG franchise that's dormant.
Yeah.
Like Mother 3, not only like Mother has ended, they've wrapped up the story.
Yeah. The creator said multiple times that there's not going to be a Mother 4. The series is done. He's told the story he wanted to tell. And I respect that.
And that's fair. That is fair. More often than not, we get unnecessary sequels. So, if anything, a Mother remake down the road with the claymation art style would be cool.
Yeah, that's why I said like we don't need Mother 4. We need a Mother 1 through 3 remaster collection in the claymation style. That'd be fucking amazing.
Localized in the West. Finally,
yes.
You get your Mother 3 officialized. Good luck. They'll have to have Reggie come out during that Nintendo Direct. give him a pizza or something. Incentivize. Looking at the 4 left, I think we can actually fast track somebody at this point, personally.
Who?
You wondered, you postulated whether we have room for a retro rep. Looking at these characters here, I think we do. I think Balloon Fighter would be a welcome addition to this race.
Okay. Naturally, I like that. I mean,
I can say what. Yeah. I mean, it's
like there are other
Smash.
characters that like you could call a retro rep in this. Like you could call Porky a retro rep. You could call Gino a retro rep, even.
And it's just that we've always had a retro rep out of each Smash. I think the Ultimate legacy of that can continue on
64.
Here. Ultimate, or potentially Simon for Ultimate. 64
True,
being the first.
But if you call it retro rep, things that are like also not active anymore. Castlevania is active.
True. Yeah, even beyond the Pachinko era,
because otherwise Mario was a retro rep.
Hell yeah, he is. Look at that old man, old bitch. Don't shave your mustache. Chris Pratt.
Anywho, we're now down
Anyway.
to 3.
Oh,
We're at a similar part where I was once before. 3 characters
Mhm.
left. Only 2 can move on. For me, these final 3 were Waluigi, Porky, and Marks. Now, it's Paper Mario, Geno, and Marks. The interesting thing is, I cut Marks at this point for Waluigi and Porky, and now Porky is gone. And Waluigi is confirmed in. So it's interesting here. I think we now need to put the question here. We cannot avoid this conversation any longer. We have to have it now.
Yeah.
Paper Mario. Geno. Is there room for both? And if there is, does that mean we're cutting Marks? Or does that mean we are cutting somebody that we already put forward? And who? Because that's a very hard say. Because I think all of the ones that we've kept are strong keeps. There's a couple that admittedly I think are lower the totem pole. But I think they are all strong keeps.
I think so too. I think if you approach this, you have 2 Mario characters here. Both of them have, as far as their arguments go for their inclusion, they are ineffable. We know that they both deserve to be moved on for varying reasons. Geno not making it on your list when you're your number 1 most wanted.
Anna Tarasso not being on your list when she's your number 1 most wanted.
Yep. I okay, that's fair. I think we both knew that it's just not this kind of game. We had to approach it with a different lens.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Amaterasu would have been on my list, and Geno would have been on yours. To that end, is Paper Mario the more inclusive pick than Geno at this point? Who I don't know. I can't answer that since he didn't initially make the list for reasons. Or do we move both on? Given the fanfare for both these characters, especially Geno, I mean, of the 3 we have left, of almost the entire roster, other than maybe Waluigi, most talked about, the most requested character, period. It's hard to say. And Mark still has his medal too, because it's a 4th Kirby character, but if you include Paper Mario and Geno, that's 7 Mario characters. If you make the argument to say, oh, let's have Paper Mario and Geno and cut Tetra, then you have a larger gap between the second most characters in any franchise versus the first most. Ditto if you say cut Ephraim, or you can make an argument to cut Balloon Fighter, who we just put in. I mean, either way, and cull the retro ideology, unless you argue that Geno's the retro pick. But he's also from Mario, which is not a dormant franchise, even though Mario RPG is. There's a lot.
There is a lot.
There is a lot.
Let me ask you this question. We are talking about cutting, but we haven't talked about keeping. If you could only, let's put it this way. If you could only keep one of these 3, let's say it's the reverse. You could only keep one of these 3. Do you know who it would be? You don't have to say a name, but does a name come to mind?
Yes. Yep.
Who was that name?
You just said we don't have to say it. Okay, fine. It's
You said it. Well, I was saying you don't have to say it, but then you said a name came to mind. That means somebody came to mind first. Somebody was at the top of the list without you having to think about it too much. Somebody popped up there, similarly to when I was thinking of cuts, and I immediately homed in on Porky and Ravenbeak. What name came to mind?
Oh, Geno. It's Geno.
Interesting. I'm not surprised, but it is still interesting. Geno's not
and it
came to mind for
absolutely
me.
is. It's absolutely the fan bias, knowing the history of this character in our community.
The interesting thing is that Geno did not come to mind for me. Paper Mario did. I think a lot of it is the recency and just the idea of this paper character going around and doing all this crazy shit. I love that. Like, I love Gino too, but my Gino bias tells me do it, but everything else is telling me, can we do it?
Sure. And on the other hand, that's my bias against Paper Mario as well, is knowing there's other games in the franchise that we're not warm towards. Having this crawling idea that he's probably realistically going to lean towards those games when he's included. It's like,
I mean, we had a Smash or Dash episode where we had Paper Mario against somebody, and that was brought up as well. And the argument I made was, this is our thing. If we want to say that it's Paper Mario, but he's not acknowledging Sticker Star, then we can fucking say that. Sure, we're not developing the games, but we can say that this is our roster, and our Paper Mario wouldn't fight like that.
That's true.
That's why, like, I'm not acting under fear of how a character might be. That's why I say, like, oh, I could see Mona doing this. And that's what I would do with her. Instead of saying, like, oh, man, I fear Mona could be like this, so I don't want to do Mona. Like, I could say, oh, man, Octoling would be an Echo, so I don't want to have Octoling.
True. Fair point. I think at this venture, this area here, we both said Gino and Paper Mario. We have 2 slots left. Do we just want to do it?
Let me propose one final question to you. Does the idea of Mario having 7 characters in this roster that lines up to being 57, the next most populated franchise having 5 characters, and then past that is 4 and below, is that a problem to you? Or do you think that's acceptable?
I think it's acceptable under 2 platforms. The first being the uniqueness of each character, the uniqueness / importance of each character, and just given that it's Mario. Mario is the franchise, the Nintendo's flagship franchise. If any franchise will have a little bit of bloat, it's them, and I think 7 to 5 is fair. If it were any larger, no, God no. But for Mario, I think we can make an exception.
Okay. With that being the case, I think we can go ahead and confirm them both.
Yeehaw! Thanos just said that from the other room. He heard that we're done.
He woke up? Now? Mother.
He did, but he's like cooking pancakes or
tell him to clean his creamed corn mess. God.
He said he will once he has extra cream.
No more. All right. We've been here a while. It's been a long episode. This second half went longer than I personally was hoping for it to be. But hey, it's still shorter than the company roster game episode, so that's a win. Awesome. Just to recap, what the 12 characters that we went ahead and selected for our rosters as a booster to the remaining roster after we cut half of them, we added in Waluigi, Paper Mario, Gino, Tetra, Midna, Decidueye, Ephraim, Isaac, Balloon Fighter, Alucard, and I lost somebody. Wait a minute.
Decidueye.
Did I not mention Decidueye? I want to go through it again just to make sure. Waluigi, Paper Mario, Gino, Tetra, Midna, Decidueye, Ephraim, Isaac, Balloon Fighter, Alucard, Master Chief. Wait a minute.
Oh my God.
Wait a minute. I'm going to count the checks on the screen here. 1, 2, 3, 4,
It's
5,
11.
6,
It's
7,
11.
8, 9, 10. Wait, fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Marks is in! Marks is in! Welcome to the roster, Marks! You made it! Holy shit! I'm sure somebody watching was just like, wait a minute. Hold up. You have room, and they've been yelling at the screen forever. Congratulations, you little freak! You did it! Huzzah! What happened? Okay. I'm gonna count on another side of my notes just to double check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
God.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, Marks is our 12th. Fuck. All right. Marks is in. We did it. Oh my god. You know what this means? Ravenbeak and cutting Ravenbeak and Porky finalized the roster.
That was probably about 20 to 30 minutes more than we needed to go.
Jesus! God damn it! All right. So here's what we're doing. We're saying goodbye. We're ending this episode. Next time around, it's a Smashtopia, and as we always do for our finale Smashtopia of the season, we each are going to be working on different characters entirely, and we're not meshing the business together. Year 1, we did characters that... Ooh. Wow. We did characters that technically had a chance to be in Smash, but in reality had no chance. We called it... what was it? Of Hooks and Ice or something? It was Of Hooks and something. And it was the Trapper and it was Polar Bear. And then last year we did 4 fighting characters where we called it Of Elements and Gemstones for Aang and Steven Universe. This time around, we are doing... How do I put this? Legacy characters for the two of us. Characters that... 2 of our earliest characters what we ever made moves for, period. And I'm giving you only this singular clue. Of Circuits and Claws. See you all then. Bye, everyone.
Great title.